I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next discuss possible action on the budget workshop fiscal year 2017-2018, and I'm going to go in the order that I have printed them here. I know the commissioners were first, but we moved the sheriff to a Friday because he's busy, so the sheriff, you'll be the first.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
But
That yellow folder that's in front of you there, I provided that just so you all can follow along. Last year's budget, although the court cut the budget straight across, we were able to manage with the funds that were provided. We had enough funds to finish out the remainder of the year. I think that we were efficient in utilizing what the court provided us to operate from. So, and we're requesting basically the same, and I'll cover some of our needs. And I've provided you on page 3 of that yellow folder a copy of our fleet. We have Stone Garden units and the county patrol units, and the ones that are kind of shadowed, those are that's the equipment that has over 100,000 miles on it. In this year's budget, we're asking for 3 vehicles. 2 years ago, we got 3 vehicles through the tax note. Last year, we were authorized none, and this year, actually, we're asking for 4 vehicles. What we have coming from Stone Garden Fund.
Sure, real quick.
Yes.
You said 3?
Yes, sir. I was reading the old budget, but it's actually 4 vehicles.
You said 3?
Yes. That's just
So is it 3 or?
it's 4.
3?
That's what we're asking for. Yes. Yeah. It's 4 vehicles.
And that's the price you have here of 250,000?
242,000, yes,
Now,
sir.
does that include, is that
That's
just the
cool.
vehicle, or is that everything?
That's fully loaded.
With all the lights, sirens,
Everything.
radio, everything you need?
Yes, sir. Everything. So,
What does each unit cost?
each unit, 650, 60,500. Let me get this closer to my eyes here. Okay. Through Stone Garden, on that sheet, that's what we have. We got 2 that are ordered, 2 that are in the process of being ordered, and then 2 more vehicles that are requested on the 2018 Stone Garden grant. But as you can see,
So that would give you the 8 new vehicles,
yes,
if you get all of them?
yes, sir.
Sure. How long does this Stone Garden grant last?
Okay, so it is a continuous
Right.
grant, so every year you submit for the coming year, and then once you submit for the coming year, then once they release those funds, then you can go ahead and purchase vehicles. So it's been an ongoing thing for years.
Yeah, but my question is, does every year, do they reduce the Stone Garden grant, or they leave it the same?
Okay, so actually this year, I just met with the project manager for Stone Garden in Arizona a couple of weeks ago, and they have allowed $85 million for that project, with an additional $35 million that they have to spend. So we put in for other equipment out of that additional $35 million.
So they're
So
adding,
they're adding more money to it, yes, sir.
okay.
they're adding more money to it.
So he's in charge of Stone Garden.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the project manager. So as you can see, our grant vehicles, half the fleet has over 100,000 miles.
What is your life expectancy of those vehicles?
I look at it replacing a vehicle at 80,000,
About how many years you get for 80,000?
about 3.
3.
Yes, sir.
So about every 3 years, you need to replace that fleet, or replace those.
Yes, sir.
So these new ones, if you buy them, in about 3 years, it's gonna be time to replace them.
Yes, sir. Now, I'm going to the conference in July, and there's a vendor up there that replaces fleet vehicles. He takes what you determine deadline, he takes it as is, and he leaves you a brand new vehicle fully loaded, ready to work. So I'll be bringing back some information on that, and we can. They're set up in such a way that they go and of course it's a contract. Every year they'll take 5 vehicles and leave you 5 new vehicles.
It's more like a trade-in basis, and
Yes, sir. We don't have to deal with anybody else. If the vehicle comes equipped, all the way down to the paint.
And we've been meeting with Enterprise, and they have something similar to the system.
how many vehicles normally do you swap every year, Sheriff?
Some of these vehicles here are from 2009.
Okay,
We've
some are
kept
pretty
them
old.
there as spare vehicles.
Yeah.
So right now we have the S's on the far right column are spare vehicles, and then we've got the total of 5 that are deadline. 2 county vehicles that are deadline, and 3 grant vehicles that are deadline.
Are they all running?
Yes, sir. We've also set aside a vehicle for the animal control. Once that comes into, hopefully come September, we'll be able to hire an animal control. We have over 30 applicants that have been just sitting there looking for a job, but we've got a vehicle set aside for that already. The next item that I'll speak on is I know there's been discussions, and I've met with several the members of the court on salaries. I've taken into account, I know that the judge wants to do a 5%, commissioner wants to do a 1,700 plus a 1%. I've compared what other police departments or sheriff's offices in the area are doing. We're well below everyone else. Actually, out of the 6 people that were, the 6 agencies that were, we got the data from, which is Uvalde, both Uvalde agencies, Terrell County, the school district here, the police department here, and the sheriff's office, and we ranked last when it comes to salaries.
What are your thoughts on what's been done in the past?
In my opinion, the commissioned officers, and like I said, with all due respect to the court has done a lot in the last 9 years for the county, for the employees. I think that we have to, in order to maintain the quality of individuals at the sheriff's office, some type of step increase on a yearly basis, similar to what the school district does, will help retain our officers. Right now, the school district is in the process of hiring 8 police officers for their campuses. They're going to put an officer at every campus. I know that there are 5 of my officers applying there. 3 have already left. The 3 that left left, and that's on, page 6 of this, Commissioner Middleton. The 3 that left for a difference of $11,000, almost $12,000. The county
Increase in their salary.
increase in their salary, yes, sir. And when they left, the county paid those 3 individuals a lump sum of $19,000 in their comp, holiday, and vacation. So, but the biggest thing there is I lost 28 years of experience. That's hard to replace. I know that 5 of mine are in the pipelines or the plan there at the school district. And I'll calculate out what they're making for the county and what they will be earning at the school district. And that's, they're leaving for a total of $14,700. And in that batch right there, they're my younger officers. I'm losing 23 years of experience.
How are we gonna, how do we compete with them? Because they've got a job that their hours are steady. That's one thing that we're not gonna be able to compete with.
Yeah.
So, even if we pay them more money, they're leaving because of the hours.
Well,
I talked to.
And I have one officer that left for that exact same reason. The other one's left for salary.
And the other thing is, one of the things, and they need to do what's best for them. But at the school district, they're already talking about the employees having to pay for most of their insurance. We pay like $500 some odd dollars a month for insurance.
And we don't know what it's going to cost this coming year.
But either way, we pay for all of it for the employees. That's something that I think, you're going to ask for more money, but we need to look at what our benefits are also, because last year we absorbed, a couple $100,000 more just to make sure that we maintain the same health insurance. I understand your point.
Yeah.
It's just that it isn't just the salaries. We're, our vacation days, it just seems like.
Yeah, I also have 3 other people that, on the administrative side, one operator that's, is leaving or has applications elsewhere. That's not even taken into consideration with these numbers here. And then 2 other admin that are leaving for better salaries someplace else. But their hours are 8 to 4:30, and they're leaving because salary.
For the money.
For the money. So you can't, compare them both.
What are you asking for? To get to whose salary?
Okay, so.
There's a wide range here.
And the final decision will be up to the court, and I understand that, but just for your information, on page 5, I did an average of the people that were basically, that are in this, that we've got the information from. There's an average. I took to include our salaries, and just averaged it out, divided it out. So the average is on the side for a patrol deputy. You're looking at $39,000. For a sergeant, you're looking at $45,000. For a lieutenant, you're looking at $51,000. People in CID, the investigators, you're looking at $42,000. So there's an increase in each one of those positions. The difference of that total number there, for all of my commissioned personnel, is $139,000 to get to the average. Now, with the 5% and the 1,700 plus 1, we are still below the other 5 agencies that we're polling here.
Okay, just so I understand.
Yes, sir.
What, the numbers you just threw out, which column are they in? Or you just pulled an average between San Felipe, Dover, Uvalde?
Yeah, all the way across
And
for
you just
the
did
position.
the average?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I just
And
did
those
the
are down
average.
here at the other end?
Yes, sir.
Away at the other end of the
Yes, sir.
paper?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All the way across.
Just to make sure I'm following.
So you'd want to move those salaries to that. So a deputy would go to 39, a sergeant would go to 45, a lieutenant to 51, CID to 42, and a communications to 26.
Yes, sir.
Good.
That's what it's gonna take to make these positions more attractive?
Sir?
Is that what's gonna take to make the position more attractive, so you can get somebody to apply for those
Yes, sir.
vacant spots?
Yes, sir. And it's gonna give me a better quality individual to choose from. I also, and I don't think I provided this information to you all, maybe I did. Let me just, our hiring process, give me a second to get to that.
Sheriff, though, but
Yes, sir.
the 139,400, you say that's a difference. It really wouldn't be that much, because some of these people are making more money right now anyway, right?
Some of them are.
So, I mean, in reality, the 139,000 wouldn't be that much right now, because you have positions that are filled above even, like the 34, you have people that are making more than the 35.7 and stuff like that.
Yes, for example, the lieutenants, I have 3 lieutenants. 2 of those, because of longevity, are making more than that already.
Okay, so, again, I mean, really, once we do the numbers right now, and if we were to pull those out, you wouldn't be at the 139.
Probably not. This is, I took it as it was, face value.
Now,
Now,
go ahead.
the other thing that I have before I start analyzing this page, I still don't know what, and I agree with Commissioner Owens here, what benefits do they pay compared to us? Before I start comparing apples and apples, and instead of comparing apples and oranges, because I know for a fact that some school district is making them pay a certain amount of the insurance. We don't. So we need to compare that to when we include this cost.
Yes, and I don't know what their package or insurance package consists of for that matter, the PD, Verde SO, Verde PD, I don't know what their package is.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is that the school district, for example, if you want this plan, they pay this amount, but if you want a better plan, you have to pay this amount from your pocket. And we don't do that, we just give them a good plan and we pay for it.
Yes, and I think that can be taken into consideration as we move forward through the budget process.
Right.
Try to balance it out.
Yes, sir.
When you look at these salaries, a lot of these deputies work these overtime deals. Stone
Okay,
gardens and all that.
okay, page 8.
So they're making actually,
But that's not a guaranteed deal, because not all the deputies, work, Commissioner, the overtime.
is it they don't want to, or it's just the way it's structured?
Either they don't want to, or, for personal reasons, I don't know. I'm not gonna force them to work if they don't wanna work. But that's, for February, the 2 pay periods in February, I put the program hours, which are LBSP, and that, in this case, there was 164 hours of work. County hours, as per our discussion that we had, it was those same deputies that worked Stone Garden worked 640 hours for the county. And as you move through the process, the Stone Garden, and the augmentee, the county hours that they work was 720 versus the program hours of 220. If you go down to where there's a 0 column, 0 hours worked for the county, those are augmentee hours only. Augmentees worked 172 hours on that program.
So how many hours would you guess that they're putting in a week, just your guess,
I allow them 20 hours a week
extra?
extra. But not all deputies are working it. Not all deputies are working it. Because a lot of those deputies, some are bailiffs, some work in transport, warrants and civil, they work an 8-to-5 job, if they go out and they work 6 hours on that program, the next morning they've got to report back to work. So a lot of those deputies don't work. These
So they're allowed to work 20 hours a week all year long?
Well, if the grant is active,
Yeah, but if the grant is active, which
Yes, sir.
equates to $26,000 a year
yes.
on top of their current salary.
If that's,
If they work the hours.
yes,
That's 26,000 on top of their
yes,
salary.
yes. But the grants is not what attracts the people, to become employed by us.
I understand, but we're talking about salaries, we're not talking about,
Yeah.
we're talking about salaries.
Yes.
And the ability to make money, so that deputy, if he's willing to work those hours, in reality is making about 60,000 a year,
If he works those hours.
if he works it.
So, in your estimate, if these salaries were averaged, like these 5 that are applying for the school, what would that do? Would that satisfy them?
I think it would. And it doesn't have to be the average that I indicated here, but I think it has to be above at least our 2 entities that are here in Del Rio. They have to be above the school district and above the police department. Uvalde, if you look at their figures, I mean, they blow everybody out of the water.
Yeah, but their tax rate is also $700 some odd dollars per 100,000, ours is $523.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir. Their entry level for either a deputy with no experience or deputy with 10 years is 45,000, just walk in the door. And that's the sheriff's office there in Uvalde.
again,
Yes, sir, I understand.
our tax rate's, $523 per 100,000, their tax rate is 700 and change per 100,000. I gave the list to Juanita right now on the averages. I mean, again, you're throwing out numbers, but that 139 is not going to be the correct number.
No, that's
It's going to
just-
be less than that.
Yes, it could be, yes, it could be less than that. I'm just throwing that out as a scenario.
And what I'm saying is, I mean, when we get back to this, I'd like, my personal opinion, I'd like to have what that number actually is. I gave the sheet to Juanita right now. That way maybe go through the list and see how many people are already above it. And to come up with the true number.
Okay.
That way the court can, versus just,
If you take the 1,700 plus 1%, that increases that salary to $36,050, which is already above what Del Rio PD is paying, on a deputy. You're about $1,000 short on what the school district is paying, but if they're having to pay their own insurance, then that kind of, balances itself back out.
well, and that's one of the deals, that we have a better insurance.
A better retirement.
I mean, our retirement's what, 11.81? Gone up to 12 now? Okay, so we'll.
Yeah, but these young officers.
No, I understand.
Not looking at that.
I understand.
For us that are older, yeah, we look at that, but for a young officer, he's not
Looking at the
he's not
dollars.
looking at that, yeah.
No, I mean, I understand you go work for Border Patrol and make 10 times that,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
but, there's only so much money, we could let you drive your vehicles another 5 years, and then we can afford to do this, or we can do this. And
I'll keep them together with February if I have to.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
when I first came here, I think our officers started at 24?
24/6. Yes, sir.
24/6.
Yes, sir.
And now we're
2009.
at 36.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's come a long ways. And,
I didn't need to be able to compete here locally. I can't afford to continue to lose, my deputies, because here's the cost to the county at the end of the day. The approximate investment over a 2-year period for a single deputy is $126,000 over a 2-year period. That's salary, training, the FTO program, uniforms and equipment. So technically that's a loss to the taxpayers. We're training them for 2 years, and then I got to turn right around and take those another 2 years to another $126,000 worth of training to put into this individual, training for somebody else. I just have to be able to compete here locally.
I believe that we need to make it attractive. And the pay's gotta be better than the city police department, the school department, so we can keep them longer. With the pay right now, they might be staying here, 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Yeah.
If we better the pay, we keep them there 5 to 10 years or longer.
Yes, sir. We went through, going through the applicant process, for the period of, the 7-month period in 2017 from January 1st to July 15th, we went through 132 applicants for 53 for communications, 39 for deputy positions, and 42 in administration. Out of those 132, we did a psychological test on 30 because they met that criteria. 10 were for communications, there were 19 for deputies and 1 for administration. What fell within the hireable range was 16 applicants. And what we ended up hiring was 9 out of those 132. So that's the number of people that we went through to get 9 people.
One of the things that we talked about was also, and I think that's what's going to fix this, is our base pay.
Yeah,
I think that comes up all the time, is we don't raise our base pay in Juanita, and y'all have always brought that up, so.
Yeah.
Not just the salary, but to bring the base pay up.
I mean, and I would be curious to see how many are still at base pay and how many are somewhere else.
Yeah.
And what the packages would be.
I can get that information for you. I mean, they're right above, there's, aside from the 2%, that the judge gave earlier this year, pay raise.
2.5.
2.5, whatever. I don't have anybody at the base pay. They came up from the base pay because of that 2.5% pay increase.
And I understand your issue. I've got the same issue in Road and Bridge. I got guys that are making $21,000 that can go to work for the oil field for $20,000, about $20 an hour, and we're having the same problem keeping those employees, you know, and they all have a value to this county. It doesn't matter if he's a deputy or a guy working the roads. We all have that same problem, and we have to figure out, but to fix that problem, you know, if you're going to move everybody into a pay scale that you can maintain on that, yeah, we couldn't raise taxes on it to accomplish that.
And that's how come I think that eventually what I would like to see done is move the commission personnel to a different type of scale versus all the other county employees. No disrespect to all of the other employees of the county. But I think that if you compare job description for job description, I think that there's a big difference, there's a big responsibility. Not that they don't have responsibility with the job that your crews are doing, but, you know, deputies have to prepare casework to appear in court. They got, you know, all kinds of duties. But if you start, you need a apples to apples, and that's what I'm trying to do here, is what other agencies are paying their deputies. Uvalde County, for example, they're on that type of system. When I visited Arizona a couple of weeks ago, I've got their pay program also. Their county employees are separated by commissioned officers versus the regular county employees, but they all fall within a certain scale, and they all move up within their scale.
Well, I mean,
Salary.
we've tried to create a scale here for quite a while. We've never been able to accomplish that task.
I got a sense of the county.
This is a county, well, we have one. It's a countywide issue. You know, the problem is the first year, when you bite the bullet to set everybody on the scale, some people are going to get a nice big raise, some people aren't going to get much at all, and it seems to upset everybody, but you have to get everybody onto that scale. Everybody here, every employee in this county has a value to this county. I don't care if you're carrying a gun or carrying a shovel. You have a value to this county. And I don't think any one employee is more valuable than another employee. I think they all have that asset, and we have to take care of those employees across the board. I understand your issue. We all have the same issue. Every single one of us sitting up here in our road crews, Matt's office, every single one of them have an issue with there's better paying jobs. You know, we've been wanting to hire a county engineer for a while. We can't find one at the salary. We can't find the people at the salaries that we want. And this is a countywide issue. It's not just a sheriff's office issue. It's a countywide issue. But at the end of the day, the only group that's going to pick up the tab for this is the taxpayers. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Any other questions?
And I'll just close with, I just want to be able to compete here locally. I mean, I can't afford to lose my officers to another entity within our community. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's the taxpayers' money that we're trying to guard.
The only thing I'm gonna ask you, Sheriff, before we ever adopt this, I need to understand what does the other entities, local entities, pay their benefits to their employees.
Okay, I'll try to get you all that information.
Okay, thank you.
But all the other stuff, the other number, other than the salaries and the vehicles,
Let me
everything else
just,
is okay.
before I get off here, let me just go through that real quick.
He'd already said there was enough.
No second chances, Sheriff, sorry.
Now, like I said, we were able to make do with, the budget that was, we worked with last year. One of the things that I'll also comment on is those, portable radios. We're asking for 20 there. Once they go out, the batteries go out, they don't make replacement parts for those. And I know that that's a big expense there, but we're asking for 20 radios for our officers, because once they go out, they're no good anymore. And that's part of Motorola's deal. Just like a new car, when it goes out of style, they want to sell more radios, so they don't make parts anymore.
I got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
The software maintenance, we budgeted $54,000, we used $17,000. Are we waiting on a bill to come in, or why did we budget so much?
I can only assume
CIS?
CIS.
What does that mean?
It's a license that we pay.
Management software.
When we budgeted $47,000 in 2017, we used 32. This year we budgeted 54, we used 17. I'm just curious why we have so much money in that line item if we don't need that much in that line item. Now in ammunition, we budgeted we budgeted 13,000, we used 6.
And generally that's probably been ordered already, Commissioner, and it hasn't come out yet. Getting ammunition is kind of hard, from any particular vendor, but that's been ordered.
This number would have been encumbered, right, Matt? The number we have?
Correct, encumbrances are.
Yeah, encumbrances would be in here. And then in doctors and medication, we budgeted 35,000, we used $2,900.
I'm sorry.
What?
Doctors and medication, we had budgeted 35,000, we used less than $3,000.
Okay, because on that one, that's for physical, psychologicals and all that, but the 35,000, I don't think that's budget. I think that's
No, that's actual budget.
that's 25,000 that you all had out of that, to pay for that medical. Is that taken into account there?
I'm not sure, I'm just looking at this
That's what's taken
number.
into account for, it's taken into account for that CIS.
The prior year, we budgeted 10, we used 6. Prior year before that, we budgeted 10, we used 5.
And typically, these were for the small CISs. The larger CISs were brought to court to be paid out of contingency, with the exception of this time. The court order was to do the budget adjustment in salaries and to medications.
Yeah, because you got a
You
huge
still have
difference in
money.
salaries. You got a budget of $238,000 in salary, used $155, so, you know. I'm just curious why some of these items are so big that we haven't used.
Or your salaries, obviously, your chief of
Yeah.
the field, will have to do.
Yeah.
I know, but somewhere in there, I'm trying, we're talking about
Make
pay
up the money.
raises and we're trying to find money. Is there places that you can cut to fill those holes?
Yes, and that's what I was looking at, that could be taken into consideration also, not to make up the entire difference, but part of the difference, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit there to make that difference.
But you wouldn't be sacrificing because you're still not using the money. So, I mean, it's budgeted, but you're not using it. I mean, we don't want to cut something that you would have to
Yeah.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
If you're not going to use it, then it would be okay.
Yeah.
We don't want you to sacrifice.
For example, some of those salaries,
No,
some of those positions have not been filled yet.
But he brought up a bunch of some of the other ones that there is quite a few.
There's some big amounts in here that we haven't, we're
If I
Well,
may.
3/4 of the way through the budget.
Correct. In the past, we're handling grants differently. In the past, the grants were charged to these accounts, and then they were reimbursed, and we were reimbursed. That's why the budget amounts were so high. Presently, we're taking the grants out of the grant account. So that's why some of these amounts are left over. So
But still, the money's left over.
you're absolutely
We're not
right.
gonna use it.
The money is left over.
We need to reduce those line items to put into something that better benefits the department.
You could, but I'm just commenting on why the amounts
Mhm.
aren't there as opposed to what was budgeted.
But it's still left over. But it's still left over. No, it is, it
That's a good
is.
thing.
But
Right,
it's still left over.
absolutely.
Okay.
And so when you're talking about finding money to buy equipments and finding money to do payroll stuff that you want to do, some of that money is sitting here in this budget.
We just have to look at it
You have
and
to
realign
take it apart and get realistic about what are those needs, and then maybe reutilize those funds in another location.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we
I
got,
think that there's,
you know, and you know my issue with copy machines, but we're paying $12,000 a year in copiers. Do we really need all those copy machines? Do we
I think those are-
honestly need them? For $12,000, I mean, you've got 11,921 budgeted, you've already used 11,487, and we still have several months left. I mean, do we really need all of that?
It's just a contract and encumbrance.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is is there not ways to, somebody get up and actually walk from their desk to get a piece of paper versus having it next to their desk?
Yeah.
And is there ways to cut? I'm not saying there is or there not, I'm asking.
yeah.
That when we look at the whole picture, is our priority going to be equipment and salaries, or our priority going to be these other things?
Yeah, I think that what we have now in place is needed where it's at, because, I think that there's, 10 different admins sharing one copier and printer.
And I don't know, I mean, it's your
Yeah.
department, I'm just going down these numbers and I'm looking at them and saying, you want these salaries, where within this budget, you know, and we all know, okay, that every single department that comes up here pads their budget. You know, I'm not that naive, we all do it, thinking there may be an issue, thinking this, thinking that. But when we're talking about trying to get the salaries where they are, is there ways to cut in here to make up the differences in what the court may or may not do? And I don't know what we're gonna do with salaries yet. We have, you know, there's several different proposals. But is there other ways to make up those funds?
I think we can look at it, Commissioner, and see what we can do, and I'll be more than glad to come back to you all and give you that information.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Those are just some of the ones you brought up. That's what
Okay.
you used, and that's what you do.
All right, thank you.
And that's the purpose of these workshops, so we can see how we can straighten out some of the things.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Have a good day. All right, we can move faster if we cut all the commissioners. 10% and move on. All right, Commissioner Wardlaw, you first on the commissioners. Anything you want to change in the budget?
Well, I did request funds for, where I can build a warehouse,
How much?
50,000.
You got it?
That's it.
Okay.
Judge, on mine,
Okay.
the travel and training, last year, I had lowered it because, we were sort of in a crunch. But this next year, if we could just get it back to the 7,225 like the rest of the commissioners, the commissioners coming in is gonna need it just to go to this training.
7,225?
Yes, sir. And that would be just like every other commissioner.
Okay. Anything else? Commissioner?
7,225. No, that was it.
Okay. Precinct 3, vote?
The only thing, everything is fine. The only thing I'm asking for is to replace, some dump trucks. I have, one 6-yard at 85,000 and one 16-yard. Our 16-yard is completely dead. our 3 6-yard dump trucks. We have one that's a 1991 with 137,000. We have 2 95s with over 113,000. So I'm asking to replace 1 6-yard at 85 and 1 16-yard at 120. That's other than that, that's it.
Luke had brought up, and you're actually looking into it right now on leasing. Luke had brought up a couple of trucks that were bought, that they had leased, like a lease purchase or something like
A
that.
long time ago, we did, those 95s were done under a lease purchase, originally when they did those 95s. It was a 5 or 6 year lease purchase.
Yeah.
And then we paid them off, but it's time to start replacing them. We're hoping with Enterprise, they will go up on the size of the vehicle to cover the 6-yard. They won't, their program does not include the 12 and larger trucks, but they might be able to do the other.
All right.
When are you gonna tell us that?
We're still meeting with Enterprise, and they'll come do a presentation to the court about their proposal, and hopefully here in the next 30, 40 days, before the budget's over.
Okay, Precinct 4, Commissioner Flores?
Judge, what I want to increase is the operating budget and the paving budget. Being that precinct 4 is the largest precinct, I have 198 miles of county roads, and I need $130,000 for my operating, and I need for paving $160,000.
160?
160. I'm getting the 100 and
Well, your budget is 93, and the prior year, your budget 146. But that had to do with the TRIZ, and the TRIZ is going away, so those funds will no longer be there.
yeah, I know. But if you compare the mileage precinct 4 to the other precincts, I've got quite a bit more than the other precincts. And that's why I'm asking.
Miles of paper road or miles of roads total?
Both of them. Got 48 unpaved roads up in Lantern, Punkville. Those, of course, I'm not gonna pay, but to maintain them, it takes quite a bit of money. We spend months over there, a year.
So that'd be about a $7,000 increase?
I'm paying
Yeah, from 93 to 160?
Yeah.
Okay.
160,000.
Okay.
And I'm asking for a new employee also. We're busy, I mean, we've got so much work that we're really short-handed. And I'd like the court to consider that.
What kind of employee?
A truck driver.
We're all busy.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, but you gotta compare apples to apples, and
You started something with the apples.
Aye, is that it?
no, are we gonna do the community center, or that's in different?
That's part of you?
You can.
Yeah,
That's part of
okay.
yours.
Yeah, on the community center, as y'all know, Sandra is super busy out there. We, help thousands of people a month. And now with the 3 new offices that we have, that traffic has increased tremendously. And I'm asking for a full-time employee to help her there at the center. She accumulated a lot of vacation hours, and you know, precinct 4 people, crew, we spend a lot of time there helping with food distribution and this and that, but we need to get somebody to help her there.
What's our,
Well, I'd leave it up to you guys,
You want,
The base is.
Base.
yeah, the
21
base.
forms? anything else?
No, that's it, Judge.
Okay. Thank you. And now let's go to our county auditor. This is our, Matt, this is our chance to get even with you. No.
Yes, it is.
No.
Good morning, Judge Court. First and foremost, I would like to thank for the appropriations that were allotted last year and will continue this year, knowing that any dollar above the amount that what it would take to do the statutory duties is a privilege, not a right. And they can, and I appreciate the trust in monitoring that. First, we'd like to start off with, we're looking at some capital outlay for scanners. Our scanners being old, scanners getting tired. The quotes we have are some pretty impressive scanners. But as you know, we have to scan every document, every invoice, every timesheet that runs through this office, and we are still backlogged with scanning 5 years of data before we had the scanners. So we need to run through that. Presently, those are 2,000 each. Those would be 6,000 total for the scanners. Now, as you all know, that we do have a special fund that we collect from probation and juvenile, with the fiscal officers over there. And that is to go to help with the papers and the printers, and I know that this may not have been used to supplement some of that, but we would consider taking out a portion out of that account to help with the scanner
How much?
outlay. We'd probably take out 30%. We'd match, so it'd be a 70-30 split.
Is that your only special fund?
It is. And then next, on pay, we think this would be a good time if you wanted to start to standardize salaries. We know that the sheriff just hired a new finance clerk and used our finance clerk assistant 4, as a base. Now, that finance clerk came in higher, about $1,700 higher at 31, and our base is lower than that. I think this would be a good time. If you wanted to standardize across the board, this would be a good time to go ahead and standardize those pays at $31,000.
You don't need us to do that.
Well, since it's so low, you're right, I don't. However, I'd like to start here
Okay.
first. Okay. Now, what I'm seeking is a line item roughly about $5,000. This isn't necessarily going to be spent, but I would like to do this to maybe pick up some part-time help on the scanning, or if a situation arises, I can get some outside audit help if something comes up. As you know, we're still overwhelmed going through the whole book, and every now and then we'll run on a hierarchy schedule. Something on the lower end comes up that we cannot facilitate as fast. However, it still is a concern, and we would like to address that concern. But if it's not on our hierarchy, we can't chase it until a later date. But we don't want to have it pushed off so that someone thinks it's unimportant, because it's not unimportant. It's all important, but there's no need to increase staffing for it, because it would just be a temporary position, and we'll get caught up.
Are you out of money?
In which one?
Travel and training is pretty much
It is,
over.
but our travel and...
Copy expense is
Done.
done.
Mhm.
Rent is done.
Mhm.
I'm assuming you pay the rent annually or what?
Well, see,
Is that why?
here's the deal with that. With encumbrance accounting and the computer system we have, you encumber your contracts. So that way you never
Okay, so
get
that's your whole entire
Right,
contract.
so what we
Okay.
did is we encumbered our contracts so that we know what we actually have left.
Okay. Okay.
So the invoices don't come in later in the year, and then we're over budget, and we're scrambling, and we're hitting contingency to pay for this stuff. So we encumbered
I'm
all
just
of our...
noticing these numbers are, you're at pretty much,
Correct. We encumbered all of the travel that we were going to take.
Okay.
We encumbered that, we encumbered our copiers, we encumbered our rent.
Okay.
So that we know exactly what's left this
Right.
time. And once again, we realize that any dollar over what's required for our statutory duties is a privilege that you guys allot to us and can be taken away at any time.
That was good.
that was good.
Yeah, I think we give them the copiers and the extra person.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Hi. Treasurer, County Treasurer.
I won't be as fast
You
as
guys
that.
know.
The only request I have, good morning, Judge, good morning, Commissioners, the only request I have is, over the last 2 years, you've seen a decrease in my travel and training budget. I've been fortunate enough to have carryover hours since I've assumed the Public Funds Investment Officer position. I've been able to carry over hours over this time and skip a couple mandatory trainings because of those carryover hours. Well, this year, that's not going to be the fact. In fact, I should be in training for that Public Funds Investment Officer right now, but because I had carryover hours, I didn't have to go this time. But next year, I will be required to go in November and in June.
How much?
I asked for an extra 500, going back to the 3,600 that I used to have.
So 3,000?
No,
36? Okay.
Yeah, I'm at 3,060.
Yeah. So go back to the 36?
Yes. If we can just get back to there, I think I can make it through.
Okay.
That's the only request I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
Hold on.
Okay.
We budgeted 4,500 for office supplies, you only used 1,600.
I don't go all the way through now. We can lower that to about 4,000. The only thing is I never know if I'm gonna.
So we can get the 500 you need for travel and
We
training.
can
out of
probably
that.
move it from there.
There you go.
They're, I just hope we don't need any computers next year, which I doubt.
Well, that's capital.
Yeah, we can use that for capital.
Okay, thank you. County Clerk?
She gave us a sheet.
Yeah.
What's she gave? She gave papers and all her books.
If I don't have a folder, they're loose. Good morning.
Morning.
I did two handouts, one for my office and one for the election budget. On mine, I am requesting one new position at the base pay of $21,450. Our caseloads with the courts has really increased with the e-filing. We're also getting a lot of condemnation cases with the oil. We're up to 35 just this month on those condemnation cases. And it's really bogging down the rest of our civil cases. So, that is, and the e-filing is...
Don't you charge them? For those people that come in, the oil companies that come in and,
Oh, no, they're
You know,
e-filing the cases in court.
yeah, but I mean, aren't they, isn't there a fee associated with it?
Yeah, it's like $296, $300, $315, something like that, depending on how many citations they need issued and how many need to be served. I can get you the exact filing fee. There is a filing fee being assessed too because they are doing it through e-filing, but that money goes to the state. The $30 fee that they use to e-file on the computer, that goes straight to the state. We only
Why
keep
don't you go to
this.
the state?
It's a mandate. It does.
Is it their system, they paid for it?
Well, they put it out, they did a bid, they went through a bidding process, and it is Tyler, which we use, but it was bidded out through the state, they are responsible to the state, and then the Court of Appeals mandated it for everybody to use it.
But you have no cost in keeping it up, they have a cost.
Well, you do it online, yeah, but we collect for them. We
So there is a
collect
cost.
the fee.
So there is a cost.
So, you know, but we don't get to keep any of it, right? No, we don't. We only get the court cost part, and I can find out how much that is. It runs anywhere from $280 to $315, the filing fee per case. So, requesting for that. I'm also asking for a, does anybody have any questions on that one? I'm sorry. I'm assuming you'll stop me when you have a question. We've been trying with the current staff to trying to clear out all the records that we need to clear out and shred everything we need to shred, and it's just not working because of everything else that's going on in my office. So I'm proposing to hire somebody, just a temporary records clerk, for about 35 hours. If we don't need 35 hours, we won't use them, we'll put them on a schedule. I did go through, Juanita, she helped me out with the job description. It is attached to this particular,
This is a records management issue,
yes,
which we can pay for out of records management.
yes, and
Not out
if
of
you,
budget.
yes, and if you look at the very bottom line there,
She has it put in.
I have it there, that it'll come out from there. I just need permission to create the position so that it can get done.
Yes.
Yeah, there's money there. I mean,
Okay.
On that e-filing, we do receive a 10% rebate, although we don't, if you want to call that part of the fine, but there's a 10% for filing.
But if you look at it, it might, I mean, how much do we report a month?
Oh, that
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's very much, because if you look at $30, 10% of that is $3. We'd have to have a lot of cases to be able to do that. And then it's probably going really fast in district court. I don't know if she's here. But ours, the criminal just got started, and the civil and the probate have been for 2 years now, so as it builds up and it gets more, well, of course, that will increase too. Okay. On the next item, I called it a base pay adjustment. It's not gonna cost any money. What I'm asking for is that the people in my top 4 positions are now coming on 12 years experience each. And I'm concerned that if someone was to leave, that it would be really hard to replace them, especially with the kind of experience that they've got. So all I'm asking is that their current salary be made the base pay. It's not any, and we can address the issue later if that gets out of whack.
What's the difference?
Right now, they're all there.
What's the difference in pay?
Base
Versus their current?
Each one has a different one. I think one has 20, I can put them side by
Probably
side
in
for
the
you.
24s, right?
Yeah, but they're like, because they've been here so long, they're already going at
So what's their base pay?
They have different ones for the steps. The bottom is 21,450, but the top 4, I think the most one makes is 28, and she's at 32 or something like that. So all I'm asking, you got it? I'm sorry?
She's at 30,000.
30.
What's the base?
But what's the base?
Well, for a deputy what?
4.
A deputy 4.
Like on the elections.
It's at 26,637.50.
And she making now, right now she's making what?
30.
30? No, that was a different position.
No, she's at 32.95.
Yeah, that's a chief, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's a chief. So, that's for your consideration.
And the 33?
And I'm requesting that they be moved before whatever the court is going to implement as far as salary increases. I'm talking about current salaries.
She's at 27.140.
And that would be before whatever the court is going to consider for pay raises. And again, it would only be for the chief, assistant chief, deputy clerk 4, and deputy clerk 3. I'm sorry, the top 4. On my office supplies, I am fine with the 25. I know that last year we had the 2.5%. I'd like to get back to my 2016, 2017.
Okay, so your office supplies right now, we have 22.5, you use 13.
Yeah, we're getting.
Last year, you had 25, you used 23. The year before that, you had 25, you used 19.
Yeah, it gets up there. Right now, we're in the process of ordering all the probate forms and all the marriage license forms because they've had some changes to them. So those are outstanding right now. I mean, to be paid from this.
Well, the number I have is encumbered. So if you've already done a purchase order, the number we have is encumbered.
Oh, okay.
If you haven't done a purchase order, then
No, I don't believe so. I have to check with the girls. But that's what I'm asking for. And the travel and training is fine. I have not had an opportunity to go to training this year, but I will. I have one coming up in July, the end of July, and I have one in August, and then I have one in December. And it'll probably take the rest of whatever's here. And whatever isn't, I'll have to make it up.
And your computer maintenance?
On the computer maintenance, that to 45, what it's always been. It was reduced last year, but I'd like to
But
get
you
back.
only spent 15.
Okay, but there are some, what do you call it? Like,
Invoice to be done.
yes,
And that's the thing, we have invoice coming, and we know we're coming,
yeah.
maybe we should cover it. That way
Okay.
we don't come into PO issues with invoices and.
I know I'll check with Maria because she keeps track of those, and maybe she can forward those.
why can't we put all of our stuff like this under RAM and he takes care of this?
He is currently, at this project he's working on, he's doing a pretty good job, better than I could, on that sort of thing. She knows exactly what.
But all this computer maintenance and all this stuff goes under you and you take care of it. So that we have kind of an idea of what the whole year looks like.
We've got extensive data now. We've been doing research for several months, trying to incorporate everyone's IT needs from all the departments.
And you'll have that during the budget, you'll kind of have a,
I was after everybody in July.
okay.
Hopefully before the end of it.
Okay, and then I have my special funds budget all attached to that, too.
Election funds.
And I have been working with Matt on trying to get these things done. Unfortunately, we have another election.
That's what I was asking you this morning. We've got July 31st, an election, and we have to go, it's a general election, so we have to go through the general election process.
Does anybody have any questions on my special funds before we go?
Getting through the.
Okay.
Okay, so in, let me see which one this is. This shows a balance of 300, records management and prevention fund.
Records Management and Preservation Fund,
Yep.
yes.
So you anticipate to spend most of that money this year?
Yes, sir, I have some requests pending that I need to have approved. Have you seen those? Okay, because they haven't been approved yet. And then the rest, I mean, is there.
What is the contract services for $195,000?
That would be somebody like, if we have to get somebody to come in and preserve the books, I'm almost finished with the property records. Now I'm going into the probate records to see how many of those, and I know I have a lot of books up here that need to be done. But you're contracting with the person that does that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna ask the question, is the 328, is it all hers?
Yes.
Okay, I guess we need to figure that question out before we.
One says yes, one says no.
Well, and that's like what I'm saying, I mean, we need to figure it out. I mean, it's $328,000.
That's what we're working on, and we've been working on it. It's just I haven't been able to get back to him because of other issues that I have in my office. But I will tell you this, I do have some concerns about putting them on Tyler, and the only concern I have is when I need things, sometimes I need them quickly, and they're not happening.
No, and that wasn't my question. I mean, before we get too far off, whose money is this? 328, is it all hers? Or is part of it was ours, and we've been spending it, she's been spending it like it's hers? I mean, I'd like to know whose money that belongs to.
Correct, I'm presently working through that. What we're going to do is we're going to have to go back fee schedule by fee schedule, which one has to be provided, then we can work it back. We can backdate it, just as we've done several departments this year, and go back how many other years we have to go until the money is exhausted. And at that point, we can break it up, and then we'll get with the software provider and get the fee schedule correct, so that going forward, the fees will be provided correctly. As far as concerns going into Tyler, it's controlled by court. The checks still have to be signed by the treasurer and the auditor. I don't understand this thought process of stuff not being in Tyler and not following local government code. It has to be presented in front of court. The invoices have to be presented through 113064, and the auditor is the only one who can do that, and they have to be audited. And the court has to sign off on that, and then go to the treasurer, we can disperse it. I don't understand how we're bypassing this process.
My understanding is all monies must be deposited with the county treasurer.
You are correct, including forfeiture.
And they are.
Including forfeiture.
And they are.
They go through our system.
Yes.
And then any special funds must follow the same purchasing and requirements as any other fund.
And I am.
Yeah, I mean, so.
And I am.
Then what's I don't understand.
My concern is, for example, now we're going to put, for example.
What difference does it matter if it's an Excel spreadsheet or in Tyler? How we spend it?
It's, for the court part, that we're going to put all the reports in there. Sometimes an attorney will pay to have a petition served, and they include the fee in there. If I can't get that check out of there quickly, it doesn't get served. And then everything is going to have to go through there. And where before, if the account, and we have the money, then we just issue a check to the person that's serving the citation, and they're out of there that same afternoon to get it served. We're not going to get things that fast. They're going to have to come to court and be authorized to be paid first with bills before that can happen.
Not 100% sure that's the case.
But those are all things we're working out. We're still getting together, and we're going to go account by account
I just
and
got
try
one
to figure
question
it out.
again.
Yeah.
Who does that money belong to?
Belongs to both the county and the county.
Okay, well, I personally, in my opinion, I'd like to know what part belongs to this court.
Okay.
And we've had that conversation. I think we need to know. And I mean, you've been bringing it up. We need to get to a number.
If I had that 5,000 line item, I could figure it fast.
Okay.
No, I'm just teasing.
Now, see, I helped you. Okay.
But
So you-
even when expenditure made in these special funds, it's still the treasurer and the auditor are not signing the checks. The invoice is not being front of the court.
What? Yeah, that's what.
We don't have dual,
Yes, you do.
On her accounts, the way it is right now, she's set up to sign and I'm set up to sign, the auditor is not. So when she presents the checks, which is gonna happen right now too, I verify the bills that she gives me, and then I sign them. She sends a copy to us, we have them.
so you verify the bill,
But who approves?
but that's his job.
She sends the claim to me. That's
That's,
been like that since.
that's how this account is set up. Remember the other day, Judge Cole mentioned statutes. You have to look at the statutes, and right now, there's a misconception on the County Records Management and Preservation Fund, which is set up under particular sections of the statute, and the County Clerk's Records Management and Preservation Fund. That's where we
have
come
that.
out. And we've been having this discussion, and he's doing his research, I'm doing
We
mine.
have
We're
spent-
gonna get together. It's not the same sections of the code.
We had spent money, Mendez.
Yes.
And there is a ruling in there, right?
It's
Did he address it?
It's no
Yes.
different than the free rent that everyone gets when it comes out.
Yes.
No.
It's a $25 fine that's to be split 10% to county clerk's records management, 90% to county records. So-
And that is the
The
way.
county records management is controlled and spent by
The
the
court.
court.
I don't
And do
know
we
anything.
actually have that fund? Or we've never created that fund?
That fund's never been created.
So that money that is sitting here is actually part of our money that we can use for county records management. So like the scanning program to deal with all the documents that we have in the commissioner's office and everybody else's office, that money can be used for that purpose. Or like documents y'all have to maintain, those types of things.
Yes.
But the money was deposited with the treasurer, all that.
Okay,
money.
but the problem is
I don't know where
it
it-
never got split where it was supposed to go.
Right.
And we get back to the question.
Whose money is it?
We're
So-
working on that number.
I know,
We're pretty
but
close
in
to
this
it.
proposed budget, you're expending the whole amount of money,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure
Actually-
where what goes.
Well, then I can present an amended one for this account.
Once y'all
Once you
figure
know
out
what
the
it is.
account, then you're gonna know how much money you
It's
have.
still gonna be over 300,000.
I doubt, I mean, once y'all, and I'm assuming before the budget, we'll get through
Yes,
that process.
we're hoping to, but, now, I mean, I was supposed to get with him this coming week, and now we have this mandate, and so I don't
Then
know.
you have the records archive fund, which is a whole
Yes.
separate fund.
Yes. And that is definitely the county clerk's fund.
James, what
Under
is
control of the
record
court.
disposal fees?
I'm following procedure.
I'm just making sure everybody understands.
I'm sorry.
What is the records disposal fees?
The records and disposal fees are if, for example, after we do this inventory that I want to do, that this temporary person's going to do, once we do that, if there's any records, especially court records, see, we still have all the court records from, when Judge Simmons was the judge, because Judge Gonzalez did not want to consolidate those things. So we still have all that. What we need is somebody to take an inventory of that. I submit that to the state. If they say I can shred that and I can get rid of it, then that's where this money would come from, to pay for the shredder or whoever is gonna do that. That's what the fund is for. It's very specific.
Can I get,
Preservation fund,
You can't dig a hole and put it in a hole, then.
I know, I think that's the way it was being done. I know.
the thing about
And
it,
we
you can't
have
get
no-
rid of anything until it's approved by the state.
And we don't have
Or
any
disposal.
proof that we're following what the state mandate is. If you do it this way, they do, because they have to issue you a permit and everything to do it. And then once we do it, we have to submit that proof to the state that we've done it.
And we don't want to go to dig a hole and put it in.
Send it precinct 4.
Precinct
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did
They're
not,
not being
that
asked
was
at
not
all.
intentional on my part. I had nothing to do with
Precinct
that.
4 is busy. That's it.
I got a question about your budget. What are you gonna do with the $150,000 we gave you? You had 50.
No questions.
That was me.
Now you have
Okay,
elections.
oh, yes.
I have another budget worksheet here for elections.
Mhm.
What are we doing? Doing replacement stuff. This sheet that I have for capital.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We've been informed that our current poll books will no longer be accessible by the state after December of this year. We cannot use them. So we're going to have to replace them. And they gave me the vendor that, of course, used to sell the poll books. Now they sell the poll pad, which is a newer version of that. I think some of you who have gone to vote have seen it. It's what the school district uses.
Mhm.
This is what they're being replaced with. And that's the information there.
Do we have money to pay for it?
This is gonna have to come out of the county's election budget. The current poll books that I have, I am paying through a grant through the state.
So the state doesn't pay, their mandate that we have to use it, but they're not gonna pay for it. And
Just
then
like
the
they're
company-
mandating an
then-
election for
then
July
the-
31st.
These companies lobbied the state to get them to mandate that we use this new system so they can sell a new system.
Well, actually, I think they took it in steps. First, they disallowed and said they were gonna support the former poll books that they sold us. And then created the new one, and then went to the state.
Do we have money in elections?
No, that's one of the things that I was gonna discuss. The current election budget is at minus $469.86.
No knowledge, again,
So,
it's outside the software, so it's one of those things.
no, it's not.
The election fund?
He's talking about elections budget,
Okay,
this
all right.
It's on Tyler. I looked it up this morning, and it's already on a minus. So with this new mandate, before even the November election, because the November election we could cover with the new budget, the county's gonna have to put some money in there to be able to run it.
When you handle an election for another entity,
Mhm.
do you make money? Does this
Do we recoup
does it
costs?
cost us money?
Yes, I charge them the lease to rent the equipment, it goes back in there. The voter registration office, whatever they charge me to get their information, I pay them,
The voter registration office charges you to get the
Yes.
information.
yes.
Does it cost the
We
county
charge our
money?
own department to get our own information.
Not our department, he's talking other entities. Like if I'm doing an election for the city, I have to order the books, the voter registration books.
Okay.
She gives me an invoice, tells me how much, I charge the city, and then I pay them.
Does that cost us money?
No, doesn't cost us anything. Everything that we do for them, I have to provide them with an invoice, and they pay.
My question is it worth your time?
I look at it more as a community service, especially when they don't have anybody that can do their elections. I don't make any money off of it. Now, my employees, if they want to work the election, like the sheriff said, we don't force anybody to work. But if they want to work, then I let them work, and their time is charged to that entity. They pay them.
Good answer.
And it's the same thing for the school, the hospital, Comstock, anybody that wants me to do their election.
Matt's dying to talk.
Election fund. When you put in a PO, do you put in a physical PO like the old days, or you run it through Tyler?
It's not on Tyler right now.
All right. So
It's
not-
part of the ones that we're talking about, that we're going to move over there.
Not part of that.
No.
We just needed to get
I
that.
want to make sure we were working with these, because there are.
No, I mean, bottom line, none of my accounts are in Tyler. None of them. That's what you and I've been working on. And I have some concerns about putting them there, and until I get some reassurance about some of those things, that is what we're going to work on. And that's what you told me, we were gonna sit down and discuss some of those questions and some of those issues. I spent a whole day with you going through that. I would not
How
have
much money we
wasted my
spend on that?
time.
We spent what, 300, 200?
Almost $300,000 in this system. And
We spent $300,000.
$300,000, and we need to use the system, and we need to figure out how to make it work.
Correct.
It is what it is. So
I
you
do-
need,
I didn't use 300,000.
no.
We spent as a court.
On this system, Tyler. So you
And I
need-
have no objections actually to going on it from what we've discussed. We went through all of the, like the criminal, the civil and all that, and we don't have a problem. We just need to sit down and break everything down so that he knows where to send it when I send it to him. Because it's gonna get sent as one whole check, and then he needs to know if he pays the state, the sheriff, the county attorney,
Yeah.
you know, all of that.
And
That's what
and
we're
that's all
working.
good. The problem that I'm having right now, when we get back to the 328,000,
Mhm.
we, as a court, don't know if that's been paid, if that money's ours or whatever. So I have a bigger problem because we, as a court, we make a decision to spend $300,000 on a software, and then we have the department or two department, whatever, not using it. For one, I don't know if you had the authority, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there, not to use it. And I don't wanna get in an argument, but it's just, you understand my problem?
Yes, but
Is
you
that
have
we
to-
don't know if it's ours. We don't know where it's at, but yet, when it happens and it hits the fan, we're the ones that
Well, you know,
end up writing a
the
check.
court paid Mr. Mendez quite a bit of money to tell you that. That was the whole idea.
And
of that doing
you
it.
should be part of the system, according to his book. According to what he wrote, you should be
The
part of
copy
it.
that you gave me doesn't indicate that. But I'm not refusing to do it. Let's get that clear. It wasn't in force. I mean, you just barely started putting the JPs on it. It's
I
not like we're
understand.
refusing
No.
to do it. It's a process that has to be followed in order to know where the fees are gonna go and how those things are gonna get paid out, because what I'm doing right now, he's gonna have to do. So he has to have my assurance that when I give him money, he knows what's gonna get paid where.
And I completely agree.
And that's
My
exactly
thing
what
is
we're
that
working
we
on.
don't know whether what you've done, and I'm not questioning
Yes,
all
you
of
are.
it, but,
Yes, you are. But-
okay, I am.
but
And I have a big concern. Now that you've already said it, I am. We have 300 and some odd $1,000. I don't know whether it's been done right. I don't know whether any of that money belongs to the court. I don't know. Which, at the end of the day, we are the ones that make a decision. And how do I make an educated decision if I don't get all the information?
You've been making that decision for 12 years, sir.
Well, 7.
Well,
But now that
7
we know that
years.
there's a problem, it's like, I've been here for 7.5 years. We go through this and and when we know now that there's a problem, now we have to fix it. Okay, and that's all I'm asking.
And that's what
Okay.
we're working on.
You've heard me for the last 16 years complain about these.
Yes, and
And-
that, and
and-
when I came in, that
and
was
it's
my
come a
first
long way.
speech. And that's what got me started on doing it the way that it's
Yeah.
supposed to be done.
My concern is the same as Commissioner Owens' concern. We're sitting up here and we got all these departments asking us for stuff. And I'm okay with that. As long as I know where the money comes from, and if there's money available that we can utilize for things to free up money in the general fund to get payroll, or whatever the case may be. As long as we know where all the pieces are, and my concern with a lot of these special funds, and this is not just you, it's across the board, is we're hoarding money. We're sitting there with hundreds of thousands of dollars in accounts that we're not using. But we're coming back and asking the taxpayers in the general fund to pick up the tab for it. I just want to make sure the money is getting used correctly and being expended. I don't agree with any special fund having those large amounts of cash sitting in them. Because that tells me that we're charging a fee that we're not using, or we didn't need, or we haven't spent it. And it's not just you. This is an issue across the board, and I'm just ranting. It has nothing to do with you. We have departments with funds. The district clerk is another one where there is big chunks of money. We need to make sure that if if we can utilize funds out of some of these special funds to help offset these, and we can take funds out of the general fund to deal with employees or capital, that's all I'm trying to get to.
And I understand all
And
that.
as long as we all know what those numbers are, and when we look at a report, we're clear and comfortable that it is what it is, and I understand that you collect the fund, and some goes here, and some goes there, and some goes here, and every single one of these special funds is the same thing.
Yes.
They all go in a different place, and we've managed to accomplish that, and it's just a matter of coming up with that, but I agree with Commissioner Owens on this. We have to, as a court, know. I mean, we make a decision, and then 2 or 3 months later, we find out the decision we made wasn't correct, because we didn't have all the information, and that's all I'm trying to get to here. I'm not,
And in,
as
I
he
know
says, I'm
that-
not throwing rocks.
but in essence, they're little pebbles. Okay. In my defense, and I know that you're not aiming it just at me, but when I sat down with Matt, it took us a whole day, and we didn't get through.
It
And
took us 6 months to get to the DA. I mean, I know 2
Well-
years. I mean, almost a year, so.
And I can tell you that where some departments may not know where this money came from, I know exactly where the money came from. And I know where it's coming from and where it's going. And if there's an account at the bank with a set amount of money, I have a list of whose money that is and who it belongs to.
Oh, and I don't doubt that one bit. I mean, I know you're very well at keeping your record. I don't doubt it one
So
bit.
it's a matter of just sitting down and being
But-
able to take care of where these
The
things are.
problem
supposed to
is
be.
you know it and we don't.
Well, but
Because it's not in our system.
because of your urgency since I got to the county, I've always been upfront, and I've presented my budgets for all these accounts, every time. And you
Oh, I know.
all, at budget time, and you all approve them. So no expenditure has been made from there that hasn't been approved in a budget by the court.
And I'm fine. I'm not, we've come a long ways, I agree.
Okay,
So in elections, you need how much money?
I don't need the money, that is
Well, no,
the,
this is, they're asking for capital.
oh, the cap, this,
30, 40,
that is the
50,
current, and
60,000.
actually, I actually presented this to you last year because
Yeah.
we knew this thing was coming, and this price has increased about $5,000 from last year.
So we have to come up with $60,000 in this budget for,
Well, to replace the equipment that we currently use. The state, I know, and I'm thankful to the court, that they have instructed Mr. Esser to keep his eyes open, because there's a lot of money coming down our way for elections. The state just has not decided how that's gonna be. And they're not putting out any requests for proposals, they haven't given us any guidelines. Perhaps in July, when I go to their conference, perhaps that's when, you know, they're gonna spell all this out, because the majority of the equipment, in fact, almost all of the equipment we have, that the county has right now, was all bought through the grants from HAVA.
yes,
And so there hasn't been an expense to the county here. But this is going to be gone by December 31st. We won't be able to use it for any election in January. And I hope we don't have anything from this July election in January, because that's what the calendar tells me.
you say you're out of money in elections, who's gonna pay for this special election? Do we get reimbursed from the state?
You do to some extent, but, you know, it's a matter of putting out the money first and then having to.
No, I understand, but I mean, we're gonna get
It's a
paid back.
mandated, it's a
Okay.
state mandated election, so yes, it
Okay.
should be.
Okay.
I would like to say one thing in closing. Any consideration that you give me, I understand, is at your discretion. We're very good keepers of the budget. Last time that I had a budget amendment was in 2014, so I don't come back unless I have to. I try to stay within what you give me at the beginning of the year and not have to come back unless there's an emergency. So I want you to keep that in mind. Also, I think somewhere in one of the other presentations, it was talking about padding the budget so that we have money. As department heads, and you do it in your precincts too, I'm sure, that's your job, is to anticipate what's gonna happen during the year and be prepared for it. Because then you get brought up here and it's a shortfall, and it's looked as a failure on your part not to have known that that was coming. So I want people to know that we are trying to pad our budgets in that respect so that we can take care of those emergency situations.
Anticipate.
And your job is to take it off. Yes, and we
It is our job to find it and remove it so that you can have the other stuff that you want.
Yes.
I'm just asking y'all to do it so that we don't have to do it.
Will you promise that if we cut it back, you won't cut it more? I mean, I think a lot of us would probably do that if we knew that there was some guarantee that that was going to happen.
Thank you.
Okay, so
All right.
thank you all very much.
I know some of you want a break, but I know Judge Gonzalez is very busy, and he wanted to do his presentation before he goes back to court, right, Judge? Yeah. Come on right ahead and do your...
Real quick though, wasn't he scheduled yesterday?
Yeah. No.
And he didn't show up?
Wednesday.
Yeah, I did.
It's Wednesday.
I'm sorry.
I was scheduled 11.
We were out of here by 10:30.
I apologize for that.
I was gone before you got here.
I apologize.
Oh, sorry. First of all, good morning. I thank the Commissioners Court for the opportunity to come forward and to discuss some of these things with you just briefly. I've had communications with Mr. Weingart, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and go over some of the things that I'm presenting at this time. We have put some figures in our proposed budget, but it's going to be less than that with respect to these line items, because we went out and had RAM provide me with an update on replacing certain items, and they're listed there. But let me start out with the computer software upgrades. I believe that figure was much higher, but it's dropped, and it's broken down. There's a letter there by RAM that totals out to $8,613.30. Let me backtrack here. $6,619.70. Was that 6 or 8? I don't have my glasses. Help me out here.
8,613.
8,613?
No,
That's the number.
The 6,619. What are you looking for?
yeah,
Replace courtroom furniture?
yeah.
That was $6,619.
Let me start with that. Initially, the furniture that's in the courtroom, the tables, the counsel's table that are there, and those are made out of press board. Those came into the courtroom when we moved to the big county courthouse.
They're still better than the ones we have.
Yes, yes. So, I'm not asking to replace the tables. Initially we were. They're made out of press board, so what we did was we went in there and tightened took the old screws out and put some bigger screws in, and it's holding the press board in place for right now. And what we did was we added vinyl, much like this here, to the tables. And there's a figure in this proposal also to replace with the new vinyl. We've also attached a copy of the chairs that we've asked for. Some of the chairs they're wobbly and they have no back support to them anymore. And that includes witness chairs and the clerk's chairs and the coordinator chairs and some of the other chairs. So I think we can get by with that. There's a furniture there, just a small L furniture for the court reporter. We use one and hers, I think, is falling apart. It's pretty bad. It's just really bad. And so everything is here, plus a small filing cabinet. And that's exactly what we're asking for. We've attached everything here for you to look at. If the Commissioners Court feels that we can't replace the furniture, I just want to bring it to the court's attention. Just for future references, eventually some of this is going to have to get replaced. With respect to the computer, if the Commissioners Court needs some leeway on the computer, according to RAM, and he can he can explain the justification for it. He says that 50% is okay for right now. I believe that's what he told me.
and eventually the other 50% is going to have, the other workstation will have to be replaced. And let me confirm, this computer equipment is not to replace equipment for the specialty court. This is only for the current computer stations that we have. So this is not the specialty court. And none of this furniture relates to the specialty court. And the reason I have two figures, one for 15,798.02, that's strictly for the workstations and the courtroom. And then the $389.97 is only 3 chairs, and we found some for less than $100 or so, more, a little bit more. And that's strictly going to be only for the workstations in the actual staff, where Sandy is, where Tom is. Nothing to the specialty court, and that 300 has nothing to do with the courtroom. And the reason I say courtroom is because I didn't get a chance to sit down with Matt. I don't know where some of these items are replaced and how they're replaced through the county. I have no idea. But I was told that this was probably one way, but probably not the right way. Is that right? Like something in the courtroom? In the courtroom, furniture or wiring or anything like maintenance?
Sure, I mean, you mean building maintenance?
I don't know. I asked, and they told me that, well, for right now, ask for it this way, and then just let the commissioners look at it, and if they have any questions, we can go from there.
Sure, I mean, this would be a building maintenance issue, and I'm sure if it's approved, it would be probably added to the line item building maintenance.
And I'm not asking for something just to ask for it, you know.
How is our revenue doing in the specialty courts? I know
What's that?
the revenues in the specialty courts, we've set up
Yeah.
a specialty court anticipating.
Yeah, I think
revenue.
right now we have $5,000 or $6,000 in there right now.
5,000.
And we haven't used but about 200 or 300 of it for UA cups.
I think our
Incurred,
revenue was
and that's
budgeted
it.
at 20,
We're
and I
not-
think we received 20. 5. I mean, we budgeted at 20, and I think we collected 5.
Fine.
56, yeah, there was a,
So we budgeted, we anticipated revenues of 20,000 out of this court, and we collected 5,000 of it.
5,600.
We started, that's my anticipation, that was my anticipation, yes. And we're going to continue to collect more, but as we grow. So I think we can, but, you know.
Anything else, Judge?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Let's take a 10-minute break now. Let's now continue with the IT department.
No.
Well, all the stuff they were asking you to do, I think you need like 3 more people.
Good morning, everyone.
Jamie. I think we'll take it out of record for minutes.
Plenty of money there. Just have
Is that a
two
motion?
requests, a couple of comments though.
Okay.
I think you have the current reports in front of you. I know everyone last year took a 10% across the board cut, but on our office supplies this year, we're down at 21% with 3 months to go. I'm down at 3.26 on auto expense with 3 months to go. That's $95. I'm not sure if we're all coming back up to where we were before or not, but our original request was $5,500 last year for office supplies. We got $4,050. Our auto expense was $3,000, what we originally requested, and we were brought in at $2,850 this year.
Do one at a time. Do the office supply, the office expense.
We have requested $5,500. This year, we were funded $4,050. So for this new fiscal year, we're asking for the $5,500.
That's more than you've ever had.
No, sir. That's what we had previous year.
No, you had 45.
4,500.
Okay. And I remember 55, but I can re-research it.
15, you had 45. 16, you had 45.
Maybe that's what I
17.
requested. I apologize. Maybe that's what I requested. But the 40/50, I believe, was after the 10% cut.
Yes. You had 4,500, we cut it 10%, took you to $4,050.
Right. Okay. And you are correct.
So you could live with the 45.
With 45, yes. We were brought down at 40/50, yes, sir.
Okay.
And on the auto expense, we've had an awful year with the Tahoe. It is an older vehicle. It was a hand-me-down from the sheriff's office. It's a good vehicle. We've invested in accessories for carrying our components and stuff, but we've had a difficult year with it this year, and this is why we're down to the 3.26. We have encumbered some funds for the field, so we're good there. You won't see Stephen riding his bicycle to work. So if we could do the 3,000 as we were the previous year. Only other request I have is the purchase of a wide format or large format printer to allow us to produce an IT roadmap for this court. With all the work that has taken place over the last few months, last year, with the new improvements, so we're trying to create a roadmap, and we've done some now, and they're at the county judge's office, that'll help avoid some of the potential hazards and digging and that would affect our networks. This $1,300.
$1,300?
$1,350, I apologize.
Don't we have one of those in the county somewhere?
This is not anything near the caliber of what like the county clerk has.
I thought we bought one at Rogers' office. Didn't we used to have
It's
one?
the same caliber. It's a 60-inch printer, the one
Where's
that
that
they
one?
have.
In his office.
Well, where's that big one?
I think it's in storage.
Remember in the lobby?
I asked about that one, but that's under Janie's.
Should be in storage.
Yeah.
No, I thought we bought it
No.
for Roger.
No,
Roger ended up with
He
it.
took that from you.
Loeffler gave it to Roger. When Roger was gonna get rid of it,
Yeah, but
he
it was
passed it
given to
to me.
Roger.
But we recently had it evaluated, and it needs a lot of repairs. The only thing you can do with it is parts.
Oh, okay.
But we've been accommodating him when he needs.
They've had printed some stuff for us. Their printer, the one I'm asking for is like a 20-inch, 24-inch. We don't have needs for like a 60-inch printer, which is what they have. And she's helped us out with some of our maps. Her printer was $27,000 in comparison to the $1,350. All I'm trying to do is all this hours and work that we've invested in our maps and our topology and our networks, we have to have documentation other than digital. And it needs to be in a place where it could be useful.
Do we have money left in the IT test note?
Yes, sir. No, in the tax note we do. We have 101. And it's already accounted for. We're
It's
looking at the
already
O365 project. So I think we've done really well. I want to thank you. I want to thank the members of this court for supporting us in that project. I think we've made much improvement. We're at the cusp, I believe, the 25th of this month. It's when we start moving some of our departments over to the new VM environment. I know I haven't updated this court with the progress of that project, but I do know how much I bore you whenever I come and talk.
One way, you only look one way.
So as opposed to bringing you monthly reports, I thought I would provide you with a report. We're right at the cusp of completing that one project and move on to hopefully the Office 365. As you know, everyone complains about the emails. And emails is a way of doing business now. So we should have enough funding to start and complete that project.
Are you going to bring us something in this budget process for the next phases? I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head.
Yes, sir. I actually threw out some budgetary numbers to the MAT for the voice over IP. I believe that was around 260. It is just a budgetary number. It could be a lot less than that. We are ready for a VoIP technology. We weren't in the past. Our fiber ring is up. Our poles are in use. We're in production. So
That's what impresses me is when you drive this area here and then go to the 83rd, 63rd, the green poles belong to the county.
Well, they're tagged also.
Yeah.
I was out there Sunday at 7 in the morning waking up
That's
people with my big hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to put up those tags. Should there be an emergency, the officials know who to contact. All our poles are tagged and labeled. Plenty of room for growth.
So we have the voice over IP we need to do, and then what else?
We were looking at WISE terminals, which I think would be a great investment. Judge Gonzalez just made a presentation on needing 4 workstations. As part of the original IT master plan, 90% of our staff was going to receive a WISE terminals. As you know, it's not a full-blown computer. Your cost savings would be probably 70%. They just have a keyboard, a mouse, a monitor, and they connect to our VM environment. And this is how they operate. They're data entry people. The higher end people that do need to do graphics or complex arithmetic, then they probably should maintain a full-blown workstation. But other than the VoIP system, a WISE terminal system was also.
So there's been a lot of requests for computer systems in this budget process.
Yes, sir.
Could those not be filled by these other,
A lot of them could be.
at a lot less cost?
For a lot less cost, yes, sir. Yes, sir. The one department that I fear right now, maybe not stretching out that far, because I don't know how far the WISE terminal project would be the district clerk's office. We presented her with a proposal to replace 12 or 14 of our workstations.
What would it take for you to have a computer replacement program that we can just plug in numbers every year?
I have a spreadsheet currently that has a detailed list of our equipment that is new, midlife, and end of life. Okay, and that can be cycled into a 3 or 5 year plan. Last year, I presented myself requesting some software that can do IT asset management tracking. Okay, it's not the same type of asset tracking that the purchasing office uses. It's a completely different type of software. Not only can it manage our computers, but our nodes. As you know, networking is part of IT. It also tracks software. So if there's any type of software violation, licensing violations, all these things are tracked. That software can assist us in implementing a lease program or a purchase program that could replace some of our equipment. Of course, if you go to the WISE terminal idea, then it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it would eliminate all of these requests for computer systems if we had a system in place where we knew every year we're replacing this group, and next year we're replacing that group, and next year we're replacing that. Same as we would need to do with equipment.
Correct.
It would be a simpler deal than, instead of people requesting stuff, you just come, we know in the court, this year we need 50,000, whatever the number is.
Correct.
And that's the number to replace this year and that next year. And so on.
The aging process of equipment, the warranties, everything would so much improve.
But you need this program to do it.
It would be helpful.
And how much was the program?
Anywhere from 35, they charge you per node, 3,500 to 5,000 annually.
No.
Annually?
No.
Node. What we look at are users, right? So I may tell you, you know what, we have 400 users that we have to support. And you may say, well, we don't have that many people working for us. Well, nodes are switches, servers, or their equipment that receive the network. And we support those, obviously. So they charge by node, basically, is what I'm saying. So it can vary from 3,500 to 5,000, and it does it all.
Tracks everything, tells you when something's starting a problem.
It tells me if it needs updates. It tells me if the antivirus is out of date, which is going to be my next request on my list. As you know, I don't have to repeat myself. I've been up here 3 years asking for additional staff. I think everyone knows here how busy we stay. We've had many disagreements with elected officials and department heads over this last year. Mainly people get upset because we cannot complete our projects in a timely fashion, or we cannot respond to their calls the way they expect it, or they used to expect us to do. And I can deal with the disagreements. I can deal with the people being angry. What I don't want to happen is that those complaints come to you, and somehow you look at us as we're not doing our job. We're just overwhelmed. I mean, and with the growth that we're going through, we just took on a new department of 10 users, probably 20 nodes, same amount of staff. You know, there's a conversation that needs to be had with, this is down the pipe, with Judge Cadena and the adult probation and juvenile probation. If those kind of things happen, you know, we're stretched. We're also providing other services because it's within, I guess, the IT realm, such as programming the digital sign, doing the air conditioning at the library. Now they want to do the sprinkler system.
Yeah. We pay, and I'm sorry, but just if we take one thing at a time, I don't get confused here. We pay, where's Roy? Oh, we pay a maintenance, it's like $8,000 or something for the computer, for the library AC units.
The way, what they have us doing is any type of request, whether it's troubleshooting or moving the temperatures in any spaces, they contact us first. So,
But when we got their contract, they said, oh, we can take care of everything from San Antonio.
yeah,
Anything that you want done, we can take care of.
the changing of the temperature in spaces, they're not doing what we're doing, and we request permission from Judge Valdez prior to
We might
making
need
it.
to visit. They said we could take care of everything.
That's what we were told.
Uh-huh, everything. We pay
And it is
awful lot of
possible, because that's how
Like
I do it. I
$8,000-9,000.
remote into the system. And that is one of them. As-
We pay maintenance on the AC units at the library because even the individuals here didn't want to touch it because they were scared it would void the warranty. So we ended up paying $8,000-9,000, it was a big sum, $8,000-9,000 per year, for them to maintain that system. And their thing was, we can do everything for San Antonio, we'll take care of everything. I mean, you know.
And that ability is,
How do we track that down?
They come into my office, sign in when they're here, when they come do the maintenance.
Yeah,
Other than somebody,
But he's saying that he gets a request to change the temperature in one of the rooms, and he has to go change the temperature in the room.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
we do it remotely. We do
Well, I
it-
mean, I understand, but you still have to take time to do
Yeah.
it.
We're in that process. I mean,
We're paying $8,000 for somebody to do it, and we're having to do it.
Well, we just need to look into their contract.
I don't believe that's.
Because they told us when we were here that they would do anything and everything that took care of that system because they didn't want people touching that system.
Is it that complicated to change the temperature?
no, sir. A lot of these things we could
Is
teach
it
someone.
not so complicated that somebody at the library can't be trained to change the temperature?
No, I could train people. I think early on, Commissioner Owens, you were there in some of the meetings, you invited me to some of these meetings because you felt that it's something we were capable of doing. And as always, we want to help. I mean,
And the main thing would be is not so much everything else of the library, it's in his room that he's the only one that we had
That's
said here
right.
that he
Yeah.
was the one that needed.
I think, Commissioner, just to answer some of your questions, sometimes we don't want to have anybody just go in and change the temperature, because they change it on a 20-minute, hourly basis, you can't be doing that. So we have to specify somebody who would only be in charge of that because of that, especially his equipment there.
No, I understand his room, that has to be maintained. I
But
was
then,
just curious.
we're having somebody go in there every hour changing the
Oh, okay.
temperature, and that's why we made it, don't do it.
Well, if we just look into the contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got one more, because I wrote it down and I wanted you to just keep on talking. The VoIP, that system right there, it'll save us, and we talked about it, how much money per year? 60? Right?
Well, we had looked at,
the original number, when we first researched it, that was a good number, yes, sir.
Right? It was 60,000. So, I mean, in reality, if we didn't have the money, if we had to borrow the money, it don't matter because you pay for it on the savings.
And you've bought and paid for the infrastructure already, and the equipment is at the library. So all you really need is, it's software driven. So you need the software, you need the handset. Hardware, yes, sir.
So at the end of the day, if we spent $268, it saves $60,000 a year.
It would make the
5, 6
payment on
years,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
It'd pay for itself.
A study can be done as to where those crossroads are when you see your return on your investment. I mean, it won't be long.
full cooperation is needed for that.
The,
I ain't asking
That's
for
where
it.
I mean, we look at a good number to save, and then all of a sudden, only 50% of it gets.
Yeah, well,
For
my
whatever
deal is-
reason, right?
And I think this court has talked about it, if there's gonna be a savings, and that's what you were trying to do with everything else, right there's the money.
Yeah.
The structured cabling project that you also afford us as part of the same plan, we incorporated that idea. So at every location, we have 2 physical network drives, with the idea that hopefully VoIP would come around. So what I'm saying is, we're physically ready for it.
And then Rand, on this Y system, your opinion, just hands down, this is absolutely the way to go.
Yes,
More
sir.
growing entity.
Yes, sir.
It's going to position itself with.
Yes, sir. It won't work for everyone, just to be clear. It'll work for 90% of us, you know. And we still have a challenge where we have island networks, for example, the offshore.
But that's the point of of planning, is coming up with a plan. You know, we shouldn't be sitting up here every year trying to figure out, do we replace 3 cars this year, or we replace 2 computers, we should have a plan, that we know that this year's budget, 5 computers get replaced, 6 cars get replaced, this, that, and the other, and it's just an automatic number that gets plugged in. The departments don't have to worry about it. It's just a done deal.
Yes, sir.
And that's what me and Matt have been visiting with Enterprise on the vehicle end of it. We need to do the same thing on the computer end of it. No department should have to worry about it. You have the system set up. Next year, you're replacing 3 in that department and 2 in this one, or whatever the case may be. And it's just an automatic number we plug into the budget every year going down this road. And we don't have to worry about it, and the departments don't have to worry about it. Then they have to worry about, do I need a chair or not, but not all this other stuff.
Correct.
You know, it's an automatic system, so if we spend, you said, what'd you say, $8,000 for this software that'll track all this?
5,000.
It can be 8,000, yeah.
No. You said $3,500 to $5,000. Yeah.
Well, they throw money around here in numbers, I think you can't keep up with who's got the 8 and who's got the 3. So for that amount of money, you can put this system together and track everything and just hand us a number, and
That is
nobody has
correct.
to worry about anything.
That is correct.
And then the savings in that would be by going to these other systems, this other computer system, we'll have a savings there in having to replace this stuff versus what we are now, which should more than pay for what the cost of
That is
the deal.
correct, yes, sir. In larger IT environments, that's how they do it. The IT department manages all the IT assets.
Do you remember the conversation when
Yes,
we
I
first
do.
started this?
Yes, I do.
And we are very close to the number that I said we would be at.
Yes, we are. You were correct.
You know, and this department will end up costing us $250,000 a year. I said that when we started. And we are 170, and you're fixing to ask for another employee.
But I hope you can agree, Commissioner, since I've been here, in the short 6-7 years that I've been here, you've seen much improvement.
No, everything is great. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, when we go into creating a department, we need to plan for it.
Unfortunately, IT is not one of your cheapest departments. IT is expensive. You can throw money at it all day long, and you're still...
But I also know that in IT, that when departments come and ask for people, sometimes those people can be replaced with technology.
I agree. And
technology can do the job easier, quicker, and cheaper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we're getting there. With regards to the new staff member, I provided you some additional information this year. An additional staff member would help us. It would accommodate some of the growth that we're going through. The number that I included there is in line with some of what the other entities are doing in town.
We don't have that paper, so what's the
Oh, I'm
number?
sorry. It's a 27.5 annually.
Plus 23%. See, I pay attention, right?
Last year, or actually this current fiscal year, and I use Stephen as best I can, but we've already invested approximately 90.25 of comp time hours for Stephen. I probably have 3 times that, and we still don't get it done.
Okay. This employee is going to require a vehicle. I didn't notice a vehicle.
Yes, sir.
And
Because
it's going to require some other things.
yeah, as far as office space, desks, computers, we've got all of that. We would need
You
a
got office space? I've been in your office. You ain't got no space.
As far as auto, we would lean on someone like the sheriff's office or someone with a surplus vehicle.
But then you're going to be back to us with the same problem you have here, is you need more money in maintenance because we're running on a wore-out vehicle.
Right. The driving that we would probably do on this type of employee would not be as what we have now with Stephen. I'm just assuming, right? Because a lot of it is done remotely. The idea is self-help, or help desk, I apologize. So that is from his chair, her chair, remotely supporting our group, takes off a lot of work from myself, from Stephen, and can do also proactive work from the office.
Mm-hmm.
So, no doubt, finding a used auto, I don't suppose you want to buy me a brand new 4-door diesel Ford.
Unreasonable.
There's no out-of-town traveling on this. It's all in town, so the vehicle is 100, 200,000 miles will do the job.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I've seen a lot of used vehicles that
That's
are
the problem
probably,
we've got in this county now, is we continue to buy stuff like that and put it out there, and you've got the cost of maintenance and upkeep and inefficiency, and it ends up costing you more money than it would to put in a small vehicle that is efficient and doesn't cost a lot of money at all.
Mhm.
I can see that happening with the sheriff. The deputies are on the road all day long. They need good vehicles, new vehicles, but not here. I mean, I don't believe in that. I mean,
yeah. The vehicle we got from the sheriff has been a good vehicle, but then again, it was off-road, you know, it was a lot of highway miles on it.
well, what's wrong with
It's done the
it?
job.
What's wrong with it? I mean, do you have any issues with it right
Yeah,
now?
I mean,
Like what?
air conditioning failed, power
Roll
steering.
down the window. Hey, I mean, I don't see that as a major problem.
I just want to make sure that we get everything plugged in here. I'm not saying you don't need the employee, but
Yes, sir.
if we're going through the budget, if there has to be some sort of vehicle.
Yeah, I feel all the other line items would probably stay the same if we got an additional employee. The one thing that would need to further discuss would be the auto. Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No, just other than I appreciate everyone's support. I thank you for all the help you've given me this fiscal year.
And Ram, don't take me wrong, I mean, you're running a good, solid, department, strong and everything, but I just don't believe in new vehicles that, you know.
And Commissioner, I was
Go to
joking.
Bridge, we don't have new vehicles,
I
maybe the
was-
foreman might get one once in a while, but, you know.
I was here the other day when, for the AG, you got her big truck, or so you're looking at anyway. I was just
No.
joking. I was not being
Well,
serious.
I don't believe in that either, you know.
It was
but,
just a joke.
you know.
Okay.
Not
Thank
serious.
you, Randy. All right, I know, before I go to the next one, let me do mine real quickly. The emergency management, budget stays the same, parks and maintenance stays the same. In my department, only one request, I think Lisa's computer has been really worked to the limit, because she's in charge not only on
He's throwing rocks, Jack. Here we go on computers, it's like we can hear that. You go get yourself a computer, Jack.
no, it's not for Pittsburgh, Lisa, we just
We
want
go
to
get her one.
That's it, the only request is a computer for that. Okay? All right, so now let's go to district clerk.
I'm sorry, Ms. Joanna's not here to be here today, but all she asked is to please consider her request.
Okay? Yeah, we have her request there. Okay.
And they are what?
I think she needs some computers again. And,
Did you have a cost on that computer, Jack?
no, yeah, I put the cost on, when he has the cost of my computer. Well, Ram is the one that was giving us the computer. So I think it was for Elisa, $1,600, was it? Because Elisa?
It was between 13 and 14.
Yeah, about $1,400.
But, how about the district clerk? I mean, what?
But she's not here. She only had one request.
But, it looks like she's requesting new staff for a groundskeeper,
What?
a groundskeeper.
We don't have any grounds over there.
Okay. I'm just reading what's here.
Is that it?
Office desk,
It's basically.
no price. Or there's a quote.
How much?
Five.
Just a guess.
14,572.
A desk?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's six bow desks, 3 bow desks, a lateral hutch, and a lifetime guarantee.
So it's office furniture?
Yeah.
How much money do they have in their special fund?
A lot, but not as much as the other one. I don't have a treasurer's report on me, so I can't just give you that figure right now. But
Can not some of that stuff be bought out of it?
there are other special funds in addition to that, records and management preservation, archive, and there's another preservation fund on top of that. There is.
So could you get us those totals for the
Absolutely.
next time we make a decision?
Absolutely.
That work?
That'll work. Let me give you some of these. 23,000 in the preservation fund, 22 in the archive.
Those totals?
That's how much they have.
23,000.
For what they intended.
22,000. So,
Energy generated.
Their ability to collect on those was much later than the county clerk. The county clerk started much later.
Can we sort out the MOP fund?
no, we did not. But it's not going anywhere. So,
There's how much in there?
72 or 65. So, that's what we got in our request.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Make a motion, we move that $65,000 MOP fund.
Second.
All right,
No.
now we're gonna have the, purchasing. Go ahead, purchasing.
Is,
No, he's not, nobody's here from the tax assessor. Yeah, we're gonna do the library after.
Why do you want to be last, man? You're last, ain't no money left.
No, that's true. I'll take it. Good morning, Judge, Court. Always a pleasure.
page 17. Did you get anything? Yeah, they're really getting small.
Request on capital outlay.
Real quick.
Yes, sure.
You produce these?
Correct.
Would you mind the next go-round, the page numbers, darkening them or something? Because it should look, I'm having, can we sort of highlight in bold or something? I mean, look into it, because I can't read them. I mean, I'm having a hard time.
Well, index.
There you go. That would work.
All right.
Capital outlay requested was a total of $2,500, and that's $1,500 for a new PC and $1,000 for a new scanner. Now, I do rotation on all PCs in the office. We buy one new, and then and the old one gets handed down to the other two, and so we have the one coming out of the office every year is at the 4-year mark. Last year we didn't have, or this year we didn't have capital outlay, so the next one coming out is now at the 5-year mark. So I try to do it between 3 and 5, and that's the rotation that I've been doing. I'm just trying to get back to that, and that's on the advice of our IT expert.
Would that system you're talking about fit into his department? Those, yeah. And they're how much?
400 or 500. That's the only capital outlay.
What?
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Your office supplies, your,
They're pretty much on schedule.
about 700 out of 17, but the one, I guess the one I had, maybe it's a typo, it says auto allowance, we budgeted nothing, but we spent $830.
I know, it just, you gotta do what you gotta do to keep it running, so.
No,
Just
but where,
coming out of the pocket.
what,
No,
No, that's correct. It's just the budget adjustment from carryover. But it's
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wondered where we spent money on something that didn't exist.
I think, what I'm more focused on this year is a job duty comparison and possible equalization of my, assistant. I have, found 5 positions that I reviewed job descriptions, and I attached them to that and set their current salaries on there for comparison. I believe these other 5 positions are of equal responsibility and duties. I'd like for y'all to consider that and look at it. I'm not throwing a number out there, but I'll leave it to your discretion, unless you want me to. But I did notice as well that on those 5 positions, the base salaries average about 33.6, and the position currently is making 25.4. That's not even close to the base. And I understand, you mentioned, Commissioner Nettleton, earlier, when you make a structural adjustment, it's a big hit at the front. So I just think consider an equalization, if you would, please.
Okay. So you want your purchasing assistant at least start at 31, right?
The starting salary,
Right.
yeah, not adjusting the base to that position,
Compared to the
right?
sheriff's office, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
The average on those 5 is 36.
Yeah, I like the part starting though.
That's
What
the
is
starting
your,
salary.
is she making a
That's with
starting?
no, that's
She's
walking in
25.
the,
Making 25.
that's walking in the door,
What's the starting salary for that position that we have?
22.
22?
Eight, the base.
And she does,
That's why I'd like to consider adjusting the base when you decide what you think is fair for that position.
Just so I can keep up. You have the pay raise, and then you set a computer, right?
A computer and a scanner.
Uh-huh.
IT
Cost?
That's it.
Did you give me?
25 total on the capital outlay.
anything else? Thank you. All right, library?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to be very brief. On one page, I have one
Thank you.
request. So, our part-time workers are just hugely important to the operation of the library. I also did some comparison shopping. These are jobs that were recently posted on the left, and those are the hourly rates. So I did the math to see how much it would cost to get our folks from $7.25 an hour to $10 an hour. We're talking about 4 people that I currently have. What I left off of here is there is a 5th part-time opening that we've never filled. So that would kind of offset the expense, like $9,400. Also, I'm trying to get the part-time maintenance because we have a much bigger building to take care of now. Those huge windows, and as much as I had hoped that air conditioning contract was going to take care of all the servicing, they are only tending to the outdoor filters on the rooftop. So it takes my maintenance fella a good bit of time to climb up in the roof inside and replace all of those filters.
Let's stop right
Yes,
there.
sir.
I think we approved a contract for inside, because there was 27 or something filters inside. I thought we approved a contract for 2 different companies. We talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it, we never had
Just
to
the
do
outside.
that deal because we figured that the maintenance guy had plenty of time to get that done.
Okay. Yeah, because those are real tricky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to get up in there.
Honestly, yeah, that was my thought. I mean, I could do the ones on the rooftop, but the inside ones I would never take on, so. Not that I want you to give me that responsibility, but I could. So anyway, I just basically did the math there. As far as I said, there's about $9,400 for that part-time position that we never have filled. And also, and I kind of hesitate to say this, but I think that since we have all new computers, we possibly could look at making a little adjustment on our computer maintenance budget, because I don't see us spending all that money. I'd certainly defer to the decision of the court and Ram's ideas on that. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you see the copier and the computer? All right, never mind.
Okay. All right,
Just talking.
we don't have the veterans officer. Where is he?
He's back there.
Oh, I can't see him. Mr. Sosa, you're next.
Judge, Commissioner, you have my proposal there, of course, if you consider it. Our office keeps on growing with more and more requests from veterans and their family members. Our office sees over 4,000 veterans that are here in Del Rio, and another 300, 500 that are in Mexico. In the past, on the other budget, I came and requested reconsideration for exemption. When I was hired as an exempt employee. I was stripped from exemption in the last previous, and at this point that I'm aware of, I was already on the list as approved, and then all of a sudden at the very end, they took me off. I'm just asking for reconsideration or exemption. I am turning away veterans. I have to tell them to come back the next day. I am not making veterans meetings, and I've been told that I have to make up the hour or the 2 hours the next day. It's very aggravating when you tell a veteran, I'm sorry, sir, I can't complete your PTSD narrative because I've been told I can't take care of you right now. I can't work overtime that much. So I've been stripped from that. I was just asking for reconsideration for the way I was hired.
Are you receiving any assistance from Kenny County?
No, sir.
And you're serving how many?
300 to 500 veterans.
From Kenny County?
Yes, sir.
And there's no assistance from them?
No, sir.
If we ask them?
No, sir.
So
Anybody
what
that's in the
portion-
Rio I service,
What portion of your day do they take up?
I don't have those statistics, sir.
And
I
how
just
many
take care of
veterans are
them.
you servicing in Verde?
Right now, I'm servicing 4,000 in Verde with the family members. You have 3,000 to 4,000, so it's 12,000 to 15,000 people. Just Verde.
Yeah.
Then over there, if it's 300, you multiply that times 2 or 3, it can be 900.
Family members, right?
I also take care of the family members and whatever other things I have to do.
Yeah.
So what happened back then is that I got a new employee. Yes, the new employee can only do so many things. I got extra help, but at the same time, I got my time reduced. So the first 5 years that I was working to make the Veterans Office work, I was working my lunch hour. I was working 2 hours late, 3 hours late every day to make ends meet. That got stripped from me. So it's very hard for me to keep up with my job. And I have a lot of veterans coming to me, well, why can't you take care of me? I'm a truck driver. I can't make it during office hours. Why can't you see me after hours? The way it used to be. So I'm getting into situations that I'm not able to do parts of my job. And my job is to go to veterans events, and that too, and to brief all the veterans organizations, and to brief any organizations that wants a briefing on the spot. If I go and do that, my schedule's already taken. I already have people scheduled, so I have to cancel people to take my hour. So it's causing problems. I'm just asking for consideration for my exempt status.
So are you servicing any other counties other than Kenny County?
Yeah, sometimes we have.
We have people from all over coming. We have people coming from Eagle Pass. We have people coming from Verde.
So-
We have people coming from San Antonio. If they're visiting loved ones here, I take care of them, sir.
So do they
Nobody
not
gets sent
have,
back.
in these other counties, do they not have veterans, a veteran office?
Yes, sir. And some of them they do, but they want to come over here while they're visiting their, we don't turn anybody down, sir. No one gets turned down.
You're asking for exempt status. What does that mean? What do you want?
In the past, I was told I couldn't get it because there was no funds. And then I
But
came.
You're asking for
Raises the
a
salary.
pay raise.
Raises the salary.
Yes, sir. I think it's a difference of $3,000 or $4,000.
What happened is, under the exempt status, if the court will recall, last year, we had the issue where the exception was going to be raised to probably 48,000, and we reviewed a lot of positions, and his position was really going to be jumped really high. Right now, the courts have not decided what they're going to do with the exemption statuses.
What's he making right now?
So,
About 41.
Yeah, it's on you.
Yeah.
Omar, can you give us a description of what an exempt status is?
I can get back to you in about 3 or 4 hours from now about that.
Okay.
What does exemption mean?
an exempt
What it
position is an employee that is in a position that you're in a supervisory level. You're at the discretion of the entity. You come to work when you're called, you work all hours.
24/7 exempt.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
That's what I was doing
And
basically.
Salary
you're in
has to go
comp
up.
time. Now, when we converted Mr. Sosa to non-exempt status, he earns comp time. So in the judge's budget, he tries to control his comp time. So he advised Mr. Sosa to keep his comp at a minimum level. Would the county be hurting by changing his status?
Give me, how many comp hours does he have?
I don't know.
In the first 3 months or 4 months, I ran 136 hours.
Mr. Sosa, we could sit here, but the thing about it was, I think you have a miscommunication here.
I'll hear you.
If you see a client, let's say, comes in at 5, for him to stay 5 to 6, the next day he would come in at 9. That was my thing. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to stop at 5 no matter what, and that's not the way it should work. That's why we gave us a second employee last year. So if you have to stay 2 hours at the end of the day, you come in 2 hours later the next day, and it works out good. It's basically a scheduling problem. It's not really put him in exempt status. It's not. So if you have to go to something else, and he can argue all the time and he can make his point, but when I sat with him, he said it's basically a scheduling problem. It's really not. You don't really have to make him exempt, because then you would have to increase his salary. If the court finds it that people, I think it was $48,600, you would have to raise him. So at that time, it would raise like $8,000 his salary. So that's why I said, no, it's a scheduling. That's why we gave him a second person. Okay?
Okay, now, coming back to that, sir, and I did answer this for you.
Because I asked the question, it's about $4,800, $4,850.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. So it's 4,800 that you need, and of course, you wouldn't give me the raise. You would just give me the $4,800 so I can do
No,
my job.
but if the court says that we have to have that salary, that's why we were, it's still in court litigation, but if it does happen, then you do have to raise the salary to 48,000 or more.
And the judge is correct. The thing with the dollar amount is that if you go back, if you don't set the dollar amount now and give them the exempt status,
right.
Later on, if the court rules, then you have to start back up.
And you have to do back pay every year that you didn't pay that amount. You have to back pay him on that. That's right. And I advise this court, since I'm not going to be here, just keep it that way until the litigation is settled in court. Because once it's settled, you know exactly how much you have to pay him back or don't have to pay him back.
Okay, now, can I answer that thing that you talked about?
Well,
sir,
you
about
can't
your
answer
price?
it because we don't have the court ruling yet.
I hear you, sir, but you were saying that I could use 2 hours the next day. Well, this is what it's costing the next day. The next day, we already have preset appointments. We already have people scheduled. People are already coming in. I have to cancel veterans and move them because I'm not able to.
Is it mandatory for you to be there 8 to 5? Your secretary can't take care of
They cannot handle my situation, sir. I do a lot of very private things
Well, I
for our
know,
veterans. They can only do part of the paperwork, and they can get them to that point, but I have to do all the rest, sir. I do a lot of narratives, sir, which sometimes take 2 to 3 hours.
Okay, Mr. Sosa, we'll sit down and me and you can discuss that, but I think I don't think this court has to decide.
Well, that was just a,
okay,
of course, consideration that you can put in the table to think about it, sir, because it is causing problems, and then if there's conflictions with veterans complaining, that's what's happening. I'm being told not to do it, so I'm not doing it, and I'm going according to what I'm told. However, it makes it very hard for me to reschedule veterans all the time because I have to take time off when I was helping them during my lunch hour and after hours. It makes it very hard. I was hired exempt, then it got stripped, and it's causing confliction. Okay, now to the budget. Do you have any questions on the budget that we're requesting?
I haven't seen what you're requesting, so.
Yeah, just go ahead and just communicate that, your budget, they haven't seen it.
Yeah, start with office supplies, and then just.
Sure,
go down to
office
that.
supplies, what's happening is, we did inherit a lot of old supplies, and some of them we're trying to make the lobby look a little bit better. Right now, we have inheritance, or we're actually borrowing a couch and a couple of chairs, and of course, we're trying to beautify the front lobby. So what we're trying to ask, office supply. That we're asking 55 5,500.
Okay, but you're about less than 50% right now. Of what is
Yes, sir, we
that?
haven't ordered everything yet. We usually wait until here to see where we're gonna go and which direction. We try not to deplete all the money at the very beginning.
Yeah, but we're at 75% of our fiscal year, and you've only
Yes.
done less than 50%.
The other thing that also included in there, we do handle veterans events, and we are only helping with water right now. And that's why we were asking for consideration for 55.
If there's a special event, you can always go to the county judge, they got a special events budget for, I mean, you know, if that was to happen, I mean, you can handle it that way.
Well, right now.
I mean, that's the way it should work, I think, I mean.
Yeah, right now I've been paying out of pocket. I put in sodas, whatever I need to put in.
You shouldn't do that, I mean.
Out of pocket.
You know.
I do what I have to do to help out the other organizations as they help us out, sir. I was just asking just in case.
Yeah.
But if you want to leave it at 45, that's fine too.
Well, no, wait a minute, we're at 3150. Office supplies, if that's what we're talking about, you're at
Yes, sir.
$3,150. You've used $1,486. I mean, you have room there for more office supplies.
Yes, sir.
Last year you had 3,500, you used 34. The year before you had 38, you used 36.
Yes, sir. So it fluctuates. We do a lot of veterans events. The next one's coming up next week, 29th June. It's a Veterans Fair.
Going back to office supplies, do you purchase everything through Mr. Muski's office?
Yes, sir. We always go through him.
Okay.
No matter what, we do everything through the
Through the
requisitions.
system?
Everybody's been trained on doing that.
Okay. Okay. Travel and training?
That one, they're changing it a little bit. Now they're gonna go to computerized on some of them, but on the others, well, they're a little bit more costly because they're not really teaching us everything that we need to get trained on. Through the Disabled American Veterans, it may cost, if it's in-house, it may cost $1,700 or $1,800 to go in-house in Texas. Then they have the other one that's national, and you go to another state. For that one, it could cost $3,000 to $4,000 for the training, so I can stay certified. And of course, if I don't gain the knowledge and continue moving on with the new changes, well, our veterans suffer, so.
Wasn't the state and Fed paid for some of this?
Yes, sir. They're going into the computerized thing.
But they're paying for some of the travel.
They're paying for a little portion, very little portion, but the other ones, we have to pay.
Well, I mean, because you have $3,800, you use $1,700.
Yes, sir. At this point, I've been very busy, sir, trying to just keep up with the veterans. There are some things that I turn down. I have to, and that I wouldn't be able to keep up. The way I used to, where I could go here, go there, go here, and extend my hours and work an extra 3-4 hours and get caught up again. So I'm going back to the other one. So I'm in that situation right now where I have to be very limited.
So are you asking for an increase on this, on travel?
If there's a possibility, because there could be more training.
How much are you asking for?
According to this, it says 10,000, okay, but I would be okay with a 6,000, sir, because of where my situation is right now. If I were to make every single training that there is out there for me, that's how much I would be spending.
You need a certification.
Yes, sir, I need to be
How much
certified.
training do you have to take to maintain the certification?
Through the Texas Veterans Commissions, if you don't meet the number of hours and training, then I wouldn't be able to do my job.
You understand, but how many hours?
At this point, I didn't bring that with me, sir.
And they don't pay for any of that?
Just, they were paying for partial,
Well, I understand
very
when you
little,
say
and we
partial,
would get the extra ones. So let's say I would have to pay for 2, and they would pay for half of one. Okay?
Right now, the way it stands right now with what you've done this fiscal year, you're okay with your training, you've met all your thresholds and benchmarks?
At this point, I'm still, I'm gonna put in 2 more trainings, and I'm gonna go through the regional, San Antonio.
All right, but my question was, have you met?
I'm
your
still up to
training
date,
hours?
yes, sir. I'm
Okay.
still up to date, but there's training continuing.
No, but the hours that the state or whatever recommends.
I would
that you
have to ask them, sir.
I mean, because we spent less than half
Right.
the budget. And my question to you would be, are you?
At this
current?
point, I do have the certification.
Okay.
Okay, however, the training continues, so I can maintain it every year.
No, I understand that, but I mean, you've already gone through training this year.
Not all of it, sir. The main one is here coming up, the main one's, it's in September.
And that one's gonna cost how much?
There's gonna be hopefully 2 more, plus the one
No.
computerized.
You
And how
asked the
much it's
question.
gonna cost, it could be about another $1,000, sir,
Okay.
or more.
Copiers you're okay with?
We just got a new one. Thank you to Mr. Muski and his staff. Thank you, by the way. They're going to be upgrading us. We were having problems with our copier. We weren't able to send faxes and receive faxes at the same time, so it was work stoppage. Some of our faxes are 50 pages to 100 pages. So it takes, just to get a return that it was confirmed that it made it there, it could take 30 minutes to an hour. So now with the new capability that hopefully we'll be getting soon, and I heard that it was approved, it's going to give us more time to do both at the same time, and of course do more for our veterans. Hopefully we can do that for our veterans. So yes, we're okay with that one, sir.
Got a question, Matt.
Yes.
Those salaries. We have 91 budget, we use 48.
I'm sorry.
We have 91,000 budgeted in salaries, we use 48.
Correct.
Why is there?
Did you have?
We're more than 50% through the year.
Yeah, we used 52%, and we're 3/4 of the way
Yeah.
through the year, yeah.
Why is there such a?
Did you have anybody get hired recently, or?
Or not let go.
Well, no, but he could have came into the year with an empty slot and then hired.
No, sir.
You've had no personnel changes.
No.
Not the whole year. Because last year we budgeted 90 and we used 69,000. This year we budgeted 91 and we, so far we used 48. But originally we had 65,000 budgeted and we used 65,000. I'm just wondering why there's a $30,000 difference in salaries. I'm just curious.
I don't know if you anticipated some sort of overtime since the employee came off being exempt.
Juanita, do you know?
No, sir.
Mr. Sosa, how many employees do you have?
Veterans Office salary?
2 secretaries,
2,
sir.
right? Okay.
And they're overworked, sir. Very overworked. That phone doesn't stop ringing.
He should be up at 92.
He's got a receptionist at 21,986, and then the secretary at 27,708, and then his position at 43.
I'm just curious, the numbers don't match here, so I'm just curious.
She just said he's got a,
Yeah.
21, 27, 43.
Yeah.
That gets you pretty darn close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the numbers on the encumbrances are off, and then last year they were off, so I'm just curious why. I'm sure it is what it is, I'm just wondering why.
Yeah, unless somebody's been short on their paycheck, but I'm sure we.
Probably the guy that did the report didn't plug in the number.
Anything else, Mr. Sosa?
Yes, one more thing about that. The secretaries are doing the job of an administrative assistant. They help me with typing. They help me with everything. I got them going on all of that. I came and asked during the last time if their name would be changed to administrative assistant secretary, and the pay would go with that. The start pay would go with that. I was wondering if you could consider that, because we are seeing a lot of people, and they're overwhelmed, and they are helping me more and more with administrative assistant duties. So not only are they secretaries, they're also administrative assistants, and I was wondering if you could change their heading to administrative assistants first and then secretary, and the pay would come with it like her administrative assistants, whatever that pay might be, because they do more than, I would say, any administrative assistant right now.
So you don't know what the pay would be?
No, sir. How much is the start pay for yours?
Well, Nereda is not an administrative assistant, but there are administrative assistants in other departments. We have one in the sheriff's at, the base is at 31. It's just going to depend, and we have office managers.
What are they currently making?
One started at 21, and the other one started at 19, but she's been here a long time. One is making 27 or 28, the other one might be making 22 with the raise that she got.
In his initial budget, when he requested the new position, he requested a receptionist, so it came in at 21,986.
Yes. That would just be a consideration, of course, if there's a consideration because of the overwhelming work that they're doing as administrative assistants, to include secretaries and all other duties. There are many other duties that they do. Just a consideration, that's all.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you for listening.
Okay. Juanita, and then you, Mr. Stern. You'll be the last one. Mr. Stern, you've been within a meeting, so we'll be the last.
Okay. Under my office supplies, I had
Let me find it
requested.
for you.
And an index.
Okay.
Under our office supplies, initially we would pay for the ink for the copier machine in our office, but now that we've gone network with one copier for the third floor,
So you're gonna give us money back?
we can reduce that to $3,500.
That's a first. You got that on tape, right? Somebody asked for a reduction.
Yeah, but wait a minute, she still has a list.
Oh, okay.
My staff development, that one, I spent last year $3,800, and I can reduce that to $5,000. Usually what we have on there is covering all the healthy county promotions that we do with the employees.
You know, just,
So $5,000.
you don't even have 5,000.
You have 47,
Okay. I'll stay
4,750.
with the 47.
47?
I'm sorry.
That's a new way of asking for more money.
I reduced it to 5,000.
I'm sorry. My travel and training, there's two trainings that I usually go to that are TAC related, Healthy County and the management trainings. Usually I try to put money in there to cover those because it's a 3-day meetings and they're in Galveston or somewhere.
South
far
Padre
away-
Island?
Far away from me. But we do get reimbursed. Every year I get close to $2,000 back.
Well, you have
1,000 from-
5,950 in that budget. What are you
And-
wanting to do? You've only spent 2,700.
You average in about
Because I get-
3,500 a year.
It reduces, if I'm not mistaken, that, because once I get the reimbursement, do you apply that to it?
Absolutely.
So I get 1,000 from each of the trainings back, so I usually try to keep it at 5,000, because I don't know what the actual, and the rest of the trainings that we do, we usually try to do them online, so we only pay the registrations.
Okay, so we saved 1,000 on the first one and 950 on the second one. The third one you stayed the same. Okay, what else you got?
And then my capital, Ram and I have been looking for the last 3 years at a badging system. I know the court really isn't too happy with having employees wear badges. So I guess I'm gonna put that off, but I do need a new desk for Nereda, so I'm looking at $1,500.
Okay, so you still got...
And the badging deal, I would like to, for the court to consider that eventually in the near future. We have, a lot of times we're there in the offices, sometimes there's court going on in the second floor. We have people coming in, we have prisoners. in the first floor, we've got your secretary whose door is always open, and the other offices are closed. But when we travel to there, we see the prisoners coming out, we see people that are up there, and there's no bailiffs on the first floor. And there's nobody on the second floor, and the third floor. And normally, we see all those people go to the third floor because they lock the second floor bathrooms. So we have a lot more traffic upstairs. We usually hear the commotions going on the second floor.
The badges, though, we have, it's just a matter of buying the cards and the.
And the system costs $3,000.
But we have a system. We already have a system.
But the problem is that they're so busy and they have other things, we can't schedule people going over there. And I'm talking about the whole county, not just the sheriff employees.
Yeah. Well, the rush would be to get everybody done at one time.
Yes,
Right?
the initial.
But we already have the
And
equipment.
then thereafter would be when they're hired, we would do it. You see, our Tyler system now has the capability of getting networked. I know I talk a lot.
No. I was just saying we already have the equipment. I mean, because I'll why is it me?
Yesterday it was me, today it's you.
You give me the list. Our Tyler system has the capability of getting an employee's picture on there, and we've got it there. So it's just buying the camera to set it up with a system, take the picture, and...
$3,000 for a camera?
Well, that's the system that Ram was telling me about. I found one that's close to $2,000.
It's camera, software, and a specialized printer. It's not just...
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's
so-
a camera.
So, but I can wait on that.
Okay.
So you wanted to ask?
The other concern I have is the third floor. I know I've talked to Commissioner Nettleton a couple of times. There's been 2 or 3 times, and I don't think it's my weight.
You said that, we didn't.
I've gone through the floor, literally gone through the floor. Mr. Cerny's office, you step in there and it's spongy. Mr. Moski's has heavy traffic in there with all the deliveries and stuff. I mean, we always wonder, I'm gonna end up on Tom's desk. Our walls, in the last 4 years that I've been there, the cracks have literally grown. And, I mean, I think the court should look at the safety of the employees.
The cracks
The
or
citizens-
wrinkles
Sir?
of the building, the cracks or wrinkles of the building, the older we get wrinkles in the
And,
building
yes,
too.
and I've got them too, but I would really, really like for the court to look at that in the near future of getting us relocated. I mean, because it is a big concern.
You had the largest budget request, $12 million.
But she gave back $1,950.
And I would
Now I
like
know
to
why
take
we're giving it back.
I would like to take those $1,900 because I do have an issue with the position for Neneda. I am looking at probably reclassify her to $31,000. She is in the same situation as Mr. Muski's assistant. Neneda provides a service to the county as a whole. She does not just work for one department. And this goes along with my other issue that I bring to the court every year. If the court would adopt a pay classification and a table, we would not have the problems that we are having over and over and over. If the commissioners would take the time to sit with me and look at the disparities in the pays, where we've got secretaries coming in at $24,000 and then we've got others coming in at $26,000, there is no balance. And the other big problem that we encounter is that there is no capping. You need to have a plan that's going to cap out somebody. If you've got a deputy clerk one that's going to be here for 20 years and just wants to be a deputy clerk one, she should max out somewhere in a pay classification, not be making $40,000 just because she wants to sit there and stay in that position. And I always look at positions, I don't look at people. So I look at the job descriptions, I look at the positions, and I look at the duties. And I think we're going to continue with this problem as we go along, and it's not going to get better until we adopt some form of a classification.
If we adjust the base pay, if we were, I think those employees should not qualify for the raise they were trying to fix or work on for this coming fiscal budget year.
I understand.
But, I mean, I think that would just be fair if we do go to that extent.
Because the things that we deal with in HR,
Real quick, the city had a schedule, right?
Yes, sir.
Calendar.
And
They don't follow it?
They got away from it. If I'm
And
not
I think the
mistaken.
hospital did one too, and I think everybody that's had one within Valverde County has had one, the people that have had one have done away with it because it didn't work.
They just went to cost of livings. And I know last year the city was looking at having another,
Yeah, but they had it,
they had it.
and they did away with it because
Yes,
at some
sir.
point they couldn't come up with the money to fund what they'd promised, right?
But the other thing that I want the court to be aware of, as we all stand here and talk to you about all these pay issues, the biggest thing is that, when employees come up to HR for the exit interview, I ask them, what is it that we could have done better to keep you? Well, I'm going to the railroad. We can't compete with the railroad. We have sheriff deputies doing that. We have clerical staff going to work for the oil fields. I mean, and I'm talking about women, because and we can't compete with those salaries. We have people from the oil fields coming back to us, wanting to work for us, and then they leave within a month because they don't make it. A lot of those people have to pay child support. They have to pay insurance for their families, and all those things add up. And that is something that the court is not at fault. It is just the way the system is. And, I mean, it's something you can't fix. But if we were to be consistent with our pays and have a classification, we would not be dealing with this every year. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Roger. Your last one.
Judge, Commissioners, I'll be very brief. In regards to our department, last year, of course, there was no capital outlay allowed, and I requested at that time 2 computers. We have 1 computer that's totally out in our office, and the other that consistently services. And we're requesting $3,200 for 2 computers. They might come in a little bit less than that, but that's basically what the last one cost. One other consideration that I've discussed with RAM, and we don't have a cost figure on it at this particular point in time, is some type of software. We have 2 permits in our office that we issue that have a time limit, that being building permits and on-site sewage facility permits. Our database right now has no way of determining, we can't push a button today and see what permits are expiring today. Consequently, the county is losing revenue because we don't hear from these people. We go ahead and issue the building permit, and then maybe a year and a half later, or sometimes longer, they'll come in and say, well, we're ready for our on-site sewage facility now, or septic, or whatever it might be. And we look back and we find out that their building permit has been expired for a year and a half, meaning that all they would have had to do is come in and renew it, and then, of course, the county would have another $100 per permit revenue.
So you're looking for software, right?
Looking for software, and I've discussed this with RAM, and maybe before the budget process, well before the budget process is over, we can come up with a figure. Correct, ma'am?
There is a possibility that Tyler has a module that will feed to his name.
Not a node, but a module.
Other than that, the only other request that I have that I'd like for the court to consider is that our training, that $7,500 be set aside for training. What we have utilized in this past budget year up to date is not realistic as to the amount of training that we actually should have taken had we had a full staff. As the court knows, we've been operating with just 2 people in that office due to a situation that occurred last December with one of our employees being incapacitated, and therefore we had training scheduled, but something would come up that we would have to cancel those trainings. Now with a new employee in the office that, we hired a gentleman by the name of Fidencialita Jr. He will be having to take several trainings, and of course, as will Joanna. So Are there any questions on any
How
of
much?
7,500. One thing I'd like to remind the court that in our travel, and I think it just, and this comment was made, and it's a wise comment, we do not have a mechanic such as the precincts do or the sheriff's department does if we were to have some type of repair that we had to make. One of our vehicles, of course, is brand new, and we thank the court for that. The other one is a 2007 that, a transmission could go out or something, a water pump of a major expense. The court, as I remember, did state that rather than include that in a travel figure and have to budget an amount that we're not sure we're going to use, that those, if we had a repair like that, it would come out of contingency. And so that, because we don't have a mechanic to repair those.
I think that would have to come out of the judge's budget.
The judge's
Yeah,
budget.
I don't have a problem with it.
What other?
Is that gonna be mine?
Yeah, I mean, I think it should work out. Mr. Attorney, are you gonna need a
One
vehicle?
final issue, one final thing that is not a budget for next year, but if you're looking at our numbers that we have of dollars retained in various accounts, we will be coming to the court probably at the next budget meeting for a budget transfer in order to put a grill guard and some modest type of lighting on our truck. And we're going to have, since we have no capital outlay for that, it wasn't anticipated, we'll have to make a budget transfer. But we'll review the funds with Matt and determine which one.
Mr. Attorney, are you gonna need a vehicle for your new employee? Have you got one?
We have the vehicle, it's a brand new vehicle.
He said take it out of the Johnny's budget.
Yes, sir.
Couple of things. Sorry. Postage, we budgeted $1,425. We used $247. Last year we budgeted $100, used $98. The year before we budgeted $500, used $147. Why did we budget $1,400?
Well, I'll be very honest, and this is no offense to the court. When we had our last budget session, I requested that $1,000 of that $1,500 be transferred to another account, and yet somehow or other it slipped through the
What do
cracks.
we need? What do you need in there?
Sir?
How much do you actually need?
$500. $500 is sufficient. And so I made that request last year when we were doing this same process, but somehow or other it didn't get.
In copy machines, we budgeted $1,277. Now y'all share a copier. We're not gonna need all that, right?
No, our department, we don't utilize the copying machine as much as maybe other departments do, because we take pictures, and the pictures, almost everything that we do, if it's an abatement of public nuisance, we go out and take pictures of the old shack needs to be torn down, or the grass growing, or the weeds. If it's an on-site sewage facility, we do the same. Every inspection, we have pictures starting from, and then building permits, we take a lot of pictures too, of setbacks and et cetera. And color is the only way that it looks good, you can determine it.
Didn't we get a copier that y'all all share?
We have a color printer in our office.
The copier is a color copier now. The
Color.
shared one, the one we're gonna share? Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You got $1,200 budgeted in here. Y'all are sharing that,
That'll
right?
be adjusted to his rate, and then whatever he needs to, I guess for the consumables on the printers that you have.
And
That can come out of office supplies.
the auto expenses, you've averaged about $2,600 a year. We got $4,000. There should be money in there for a grill guard or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's where we were intending to take it out.
Travel and training, you said you want to go up on travel and training, even though we've
Yes,
only used on average about $1,500 a year.
The last several years, we've been, we haven't been able to attend a lot of the things that are necessary for new employees particularly to attend. And we have Joanna, who has stepped up to the plate, and she's assumed the duties of risk management. and she needs to go to several trainings this coming year.
Then we need to consider, we had budgeted for here to replace, when Roger retires, a county engineer, and we set the salary at 75, but we have not been able to find anybody at that salary. We're gonna have to reconsider that salary as part of this budget.
No, definitely, because I will be retiring September 30th.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, nothing else? Matt, did I miss anything? Any departments?
No, we're good.
It's gonna be good.